we're just gonna half-ass this. All right, we're live now.
We're live. The half-assed episode. Yeah.
Yeah, we just gotta make the best of what we have. Hello everyone.
Absolutely.
I know I'm aware that we're late, and I do apologize for that.
He's going to blame it on me now, but it's not
I'm
fault.
not going to blame Jay. I'm going to blame myself. Because it's as much my fault, if not more, than it is Jay's. So it's no big deal though. But we'll wait a little bit, wait a few minutes, to let people roll in here, then
and then we'll tell you why.
And then we'll address it, and then we'll that way we don't have to repeat ourselves a bunch of times. So sorry about that, guys, but we'll wait just a few more minutes here to allow people to come in here. So we'll consider this just a little bit of the pre-show for a few more moments. So apologies again for being late.
Yeah, we'll talk about it, as Brian says, in a couple of minutes. But thank you very much to Skewed for the Tier 2 sub. That's for 13 months. Tier 2, thank you. Really appreciate that. And thank you very much to Noxygen as well. Subscribed for 8 months on a 3-month streak. It says, Jay, I love you. Well, thank you, man. I love you too. I'm not quite sure why there's the outpouring of love there, or what I've done to deserve it, but I'll take it nonetheless.
You're a very lovable guy. I'm a little jealous because no one ever shows me this kind of love. It's always
he's come back and he said, Brian, I love you too. So he has said that afterwards.
Yeah, it's just not the same though. I mean, it feels like he was just including me because I felt left out.
Mr. Petrov was talking about it. He said, Brian, I want you to hear it from a friend first, but I think I see wisps of grey in your beard.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I've had grey in my beard for several years now. I actually have some on the top of my head too. I just don't usually, show it.
I get them in my temples a little bit, but I'd kind of like to go grey. I think it'd suit me.
Yeah, I mean, it's if it's done right, it's very distinguished. It's very elegant. That's that kind of gentleman salt and pepper aesthetic.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Blame Petrov? We could blame Petrov. Petrov's not the reason we're late, but it might be fun to blame him anyways.
Yeah, he's not the reason that we're late at all.
Not at all. Syndrome O, subbing with Twitch Prime for 2 months. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Syndrome. Yeah, thank you.
He says, tactile on its way, the new Swede Switch. So maybe a tactile follow-up to the
Linear.
The Linear.
Yeah, I've heard rumblings of this. I've heard people talking. I haven't seen anything yet, but if Linears were good, man, they were a good Switch at the time. So hopefully,
that's right.
Hopefully, be as good.
Bearded Nut Inc. and Teal Technic both donating 100 bits. Thank you so much, guys. Very, very much appreciate that.
Man. That username.
I know. It makes me really happy. It really does.
There's Apocalypse is here as well. It's been a while since we've seen you, man, but good to see you.
Yeah, absolutely.
See you, yeah.
Tyler Durden in the chat as well. Says, beard's looking good, gents. Despite the gray.
Mine's a mess at the minute. It needs trimming and the sides sorting, and it's a weekend job because I'm really not well this week. I've been off all week, so I've not been off work. I've been working from home a little bit and doing a few other things as well. But I need to do some serious self-care at the weekend and get this beard sorted out. It's getting to the point where it's itchy on the sides and just under here.
I hate that stage.
Like it's fine if you fight through it. It takes like a week, and if you push through it, it's great. It's fine. You can grow your beard thick, or you need to shave it off at that point. It's one or the other, and I always struggle with it. So
yeah, it's something all the bearded gentlemen go through. Ham Time says, Twitch streamers finna entertain us for the foreseeable future now that everything is canceled and everyone is stuck at home. Yeah, a lot of schools and a lot of companies are going full remote, I've noticed.
Yeah. We've been advised from my work to try and work from home where we can. We've had a couple of people within my company test positive for the coronavirus, so yeah, they've closed some. I work for a really big company in the UK, like huge company, and they've closed a number of our buildings down. So yeah, and they've issued travel bans. So normally we travel all over the country for work, and you guys have probably heard me talk about going to Edinburgh and Glasgow and London and all these places which are miles away from where I live, and all of that has just effectively stopped. It's been really, really strange for us as a company. It's kind of not interacting with colleagues anymore, and just staying at home and staying at the one office that we usually go to if it's still open. It's really, really worrying and a bit scary, to be honest.
Yeah, it's I mean, the World Health Organization now calls it a pandemic, so
yeah, absolutely is. Yeah. Sir Fortuna, thank you very much for the 9 months of subs, saying great job, dudes. Thank you. Penguin droppings with 4 months of subs as well, says stay safe, guys. We will definitely stay safe. Langalandia says, hey, girl. He's back on an 11-month streak as well. Thank you, man. Thank you.
That's right. Thanks, guys. All right.
Clavier says, hey, y'all, was going to fly to the US, but Trump dabbed on EU flights. I think you can still fly there from the UK, so if you fly to the UK first, you'll be all right.
All right. There's your travel tip for the day.
Guys, really don't travel if you don't have to. That's the thing. Yeah.
It seems like traveling is just not the ideal thing right now for anyone.
Yeah. It's kind of worrying because we've got the UK meetup at the end of this month. It's all booked and paid for with a venue, and everything's all set for London. And right now the meetup's on, but if things change here in the UK a little bit more, then that may stop as well. So
yeah, I'm actually curious to see how some of the meetups are going to adjust to this, if we're going to keep going on with this. It's actually, I don't know if other places are doing this too, but here in Washington, there's counties that are actually imposing bans on meetups and get-togethers and gatherings that are larger than 250 people, I think it is. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, obviously that can affect the meetups as well, so...
Yeah, so Mechanicon in Germany is expecting about 500 people, and they're in April. So I suspect that won't happen. The UK one was going to be about 200 people. We've sold about 200 tickets. And that at the minute is still on. So the venue is confirming that that's all still booked. That that's still going to go ahead, and they're refusing to refund us at the minute. So if we can't hold it, then it doesn't. We'll get the money back from the venue either, which is slightly worrying. But it's just something we're going to have to work through and see how things go and how we can filter things through. But it is worrying for the community.
Yeah, I don't think anyone had expected it to take such a huge impact on our community in so many ways, too. Obviously with manufacturing, now we're seeing so many delays, and now with meetups potentially being canceled as well. But that's kind of a sort of a topic for another time, I suppose, since we should probably get this show officially started now. I'm gonna roll the intro, and we're gonna talk about why we were late.
Yes.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this week's episode of Top Clack. As usual, I am your host, Quakeums, joined by my lovely co-host, Jay. And as you might have seen, we are a little bit late today, and the reason being is simply daylight savings time. Yeah, that happened here in the U.S. just a few days ago, and I might have forgot to mention something to Jay, so he didn't know that it was an hour difference today. So anyways...
Yeah, so the show was an hour earlier for me than what I was expecting, which is fine if I know about it, because it means it's at 1 o'clock in the morning instead of 2. So, Brian, I'm not going to let you get away with this. I'm not going to let you sweep this under the carpet. But it literally at 9 minutes to 1 a.m., so literally 19 minutes ago, he was like, dude, where are you? I'm like, well, what's the problem, dude? Chill out. We've got an hour yet. And he's like, no, you need to get on the call right now. And I'm like, what? What's going on? He's like, the clock's changed. It's daylight savings time. It's time to start the show. And I rushed around, got coffee, got the camera set up. Yeah, that was a real rush. I went from being half asleep to being fully awake within about 10 seconds when he said that.
Yeah, and to be honest, it never even dawned on me. In fact, the day that it changed, I didn't know it changed until I had gotten in my car for work. Because obviously I have my alarm set on my phone. Your phone is going to change, by default. And I was asleep when the clocks actually changed. So, I woke up, and I'm thinking it's, normal and stuff. I get in my car, and my car is an hour earlier, and I'm like, hold on, what is going on here? But of course, I looked it up on the spot. I was like, oh, okay, daylight savings time, and I just never really thought about it again.
Yeah. So we do daylight savings time for the people who are asking in chat, but we don't do it until the end of the month. So I think it's on the 29th of March this year for us. So we have it on Sunday the 29th of March. So I think it's always offset by a week or 2 weeks. Last year we were on the ball with it both ways when it changed to both in March and October. This year, Brian, you asked me why it didn't impact us last year. I can tell you exactly the reason why we didn't get caught out with it last year. Because I took that week off because that was when my mum passed away. So I was off the whole back end of March, wasn't I? I was off for 2 weeks. Yeah. And that was why, because this time a year ago I was spending pretty much every day in the hospice. So yeah, that's exactly the reason why. And then by the time I come back, we must have just realised, and we'd have caught up with you guys and sitting down at 7. And the times that have been back to normal. So that's the reason why.
Yeah. Okay, that makes a lot more sense then. Viminderon subbing at tier 1. Thank you so much for that. And he says, here's to daylight savings time being scrapped in EU in 2021.
Yeah. And do you know what really, really annoys me about that? We're not in the EU anymore.
Brexit. Exciting.
Yeah. So there we go.
Oh, boy. Anyways, well, daylight savings time issues aside, we must get on with the show because that is what we do here. Should we do a quick mail call, like a super quick mail call, just because we didn't get a chance to do one during the pre-show?
Yeah, I can do one really, really, really quickly. I got GMK Blue Glue, I got stickers, and I got some samples of new materials that you might see keyboards in. There we go.
Wow, that was incredibly fast. I'm gonna try to do the same. All right, so I got my Team Tactile shirt in, courtesy of Straight Classy. So thank you for that. Shout out to there. Haven't actually opened it yet. I grabbed it right before the show. I also got the Mechanics. I'm not gonna open this, but I got the Mechanics Type X, courtesy of Leandrin over at Mechanics, and got the IDB. It's taken apart right here, but the IDB60. Obviously, this is a B stock unit there. I gotta sand down the PCB that I can get to a build stream on that. That's gonna be pretty fun. But yeah, that's what I got in. So super quick mail call, lightning mail call. Love that. And no announcements today either, so we can just jump straight into the news doc. So trying to make up for lost time here, guys.
Excellent.
All right. Shout out as well to Undercover Brother with that tier 1 sub for 6 months. Thank you so much, mate.
He's also saying you've not built the Southpaw yet.
That's true, because Ray still has my switches. I bought the mods specifically for that board. And I was like, hey, Ray, you want to leave these for me? He's like, sure. I was like, okay. So I sent them to him. That was like 4 weeks ago.
Fair enough.
Feels bad. Anyways, let's talk about
Mike Clicks just saying, did EU get dots? Still waiting in the US. Yes, EU got dots. I don't have mine yet. It's at the post office, and I'm not going to the post office this week. So it'll be next week or the week after when I get mine. But yeah.
All right. So first up on our news doc here is the interest check for the Space 65 Cybervoyager. So this is the follow-up to the Space 65 that Gray Studio did. Was it last year, 2019? I assume.
Yeah, I think so. We think we got the boards in 2019, but group buy might have been 2018.
Okay, sure. So it was a relatively successful group buy, all things considered, and a lot of people do like the board. It did have some minor issues, but they are looking to address those issues moving forward, and they are looking for pretty much a pretty serious design overhaul, I would say, all things considered here. So I don't actually own a Space Round 1, but I have typed on them, and it was a pretty lovely board, all things considered, and the price was really nice as well. So yeah. In the Round 1, I think it started, before anything, a base kit was about $225. So pretty inexpensive there. This one's looking to be a little bit more expensive, but we don't really have a ton of info on it. We have a little bit of motivation, so obviously they're going for a cyberpunk kind of aesthetic here. We have a lot of renders. We do know that they're sticking with the carbon fiber plate. He does seem to like that. They are planning to add some dampening material under the PCB as well as under the plate. So they're going to be installing a vibration reduction pad, is what they're calling it. That's going to be for under the plate, and they're going to give you some presumably soft cell foam for under your PCB as well. So really looking for kind of a dampened thing here. It'll be interesting to know if we can use this board without the vibration reduction pad as well. Hopefully you probably can. I don't see why you wouldn't be able to. And they do say that is going to be a little bit more expensive than the previous round as well. So they are adding a few different things here, as you can tell from some of the pictures. There's going to be a brass badge here where there used to just be the light bar on the left side, and this accent piece on the back as well is a little bit different now. So a little bit more design going on here. How do you feel about this, though?
Yeah, there's a few things. I think it looks less like a phone than the original one did. So I have one of the original ones, and I really quite enjoy it as a board. There's a couple of design features we'll talk about and see if they carry that over in a few minutes. But so I think this is, on the whole, a good revision. This feels more like a Space 65 Round 2 than the Canoe Gen 2 did to the original Canoe. I think there was a massive difference between those two boards. This definitely feels like an evolution rather than a revolution for me. A couple of things that I noticed straight off the bat. On the top of the case, they're ditching some of the Voyager style logos that were on the on the right hand side after the blocker. So on the bar on the right hand side, they've now removed those Voyager logos. As you said as well, the rear brass badge is slightly different as well now. The weight on the base is also new. On the bottom, previously it was just a flat aluminium with the name of the board and Grey Studio on the bottom, so Space 65 and Grey Studio. That's all now changed, so there's now a weight or an accent piece, as it looks most likely to be, on the bottom as well. So all solid changes in my opinion. It also seems like they've kept the same mount for the plate as well, which for those of you who aren't aware, it's kind of interesting. So across the 65%, it has mount points on the left and right, and then it has a couple of mount points on the bottom and one in the center of the bottom, but it doesn't have any across the top of the num row. And it looks like they're carrying on that design philosophy as well. So that gave it an interesting and unique typing feel and sound profile as well, because it was much tighter towards the bottom of the board than it was at the top of the board. So your num row and your QWERTY row felt very different to your shift row, for example.
Interesting. Was that a design choice that you think was something that paid off for them?
I think so. So when I built my board, I actually found it way better if I took the screw out of the center of the front as well, which made it a little bit more even across the board. So that really worked for me. Now you did have to put an O-ring in between the case and the plate to stop any vibrations, because the plate was just wobbling about at that point. But I do think that it did help. What I would have done as well is where you can see on the front row, they've got some screws which are roughly one switch in from the edges. They're roughly 2 centimeters in from the edges. If they'd have done that on the top row as well, I think it would have been a little bit more nicer to type on. But it was certainly an interesting experiment, and I can see why some other people have picked up on that design feature as well.
Yeah, definitely. So it does look pretty nice. I've been seeing people talk about this in our Discord in particular, and it seems a little polarizing. Some people seem to not really like it so much. Some people seem to be pretty into it. I'm of the mind that this is a really good step forward, and I do think I agree with you completely that this seems more like an evolution, and a proper evolution into what the Space 65 should be. And while I did like it before, I think this is even better. And I'm looking forward to the improvements that they're bringing here. So one of the major complaints last time in the Space 65 was that the LEDs on the PCB actually fried quite easily, and a lot of people were left with without underglow there. And some people, I know Walker in our Discord, added ESD protection himself just to his own PCB. So I think that's something they're looking to address in this version as well, because I think those side LED acrylic pieces or whatever that let the light shine through, I think those are pretty crucial in the design of this board, and you kind of really need that side glow to really help out. And if your LEDs are frying, it's definitely not as good.
Yeah. Big fan of the Eva 01 colorway as well. That purple and green, that looks really good.
Yeah.
Big fan of that. Yeah.
There's some very nice colorways here.
Geo calling out that there's a problem. It says top Clack, there's a problem. What's the problem?
What's the problem, young Geo? Hopefully it's something that we can fix.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the problem is.
Oh, you still have mods?
I still have mods.
I'll remove that later. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal.
I thought one of our cameras had frozen, or there was no sound from one of us. Or
I
something
know.
like that
Like
was going on. Yeah.
when you say something's wrong during a live show, I really start to panic because I'm starting to like look around to see what could potentially be failing right now on stream. Regardless, I do like the way this board looks quite a bit, and I'm really looking forward to it. So they are saying it's going to be a little bit more expensive on this version. So obviously, like we said before, about $225 starting price on the round 1. Here, we don't really know what it's going to look like, but he does say it's going to be a little bit more. So what do you think here? Is this going to be a sub $300 board still, or do you think we're looking at something more closer to the $350 mark?
I'd like to see that it was around that $300 mark or less. That'd be really good for it. I think the changes will add some cost, especially with that mute layer and the foam layer and everything else that wasn't there in round 1. But what I do think is really nice is that they are going to offer something which we haven't really seen in the community before in terms of group buys. We've seen it with vendors, but not with group buys, where you've got a return customer discount. So if you're one of the guys that joined the round 1 Space 65 or Think 6.5 or any of the other Grey Studio group buys, they are offering a return customer discount. Now, they don't give any more details of what that looks like or how much that is or how that will affect the price of the board, but it's nice to know that that kind of thing's being thought about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that really it shows Grey Studio in a pretty good light. I've been really liking a lot of their design work, and to be able to offer something like a return customer discount, I think is really nice in our niche community in particular.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So we'll have to wait to see more information on this one, but it's looking pretty nice. I'm very, very, very interested in picking one of these up.
Excellent, yeah.
All right, next on to an interest check for the Mesa TKL. 14mm front height is the defining characteristic of this board, so quite interesting design choices here. Let me read off a couple specs and we'll talk about what makes this board particularly interesting. So looking at an 8.5 degree angle, a 14mm front height, like I mentioned before. They're going to be offering a silicone pad for under the plate, so again, looking for some more vibration dampening here, as well as foam under the PCB. The case itself is going to be aluminum, and the accent and the weight and presumably the plate, at least by the looks of it here, is going to be brass. Now, what makes this board particularly interesting is actually the bottom here, so this angle shows it off pretty well. They are looking for an incredibly low front height, so 14 millimeters. If you're unfamiliar with what the standard is, generally most boards are going to be around 19, 20, maybe even 21 millimeters in front height. Usually something like 16 or 17 is considered fairly low. 14 is very, very low. So that is going to be the preference of the designer here, and to achieve that, they made a cutout of the bottom front of the board here, where you can see where it actually exposes the PCB entirely. And they are going to be using hot swap sockets here because they do think that is aesthetically more pleasing than looking at solder joints, apparently, when you have this turned over. Which I thought was kind of an interesting thought as well. But the idea here is...
a debate on that one.
Yeah. That's up for debate, I guess. But regardless, what do you think about this design feature to get that super low front height?
I mean, it's interesting. People have been trying to get low front heights for years now, and for example, Zondat's been working on his what everyone affectionately terms the Zon ledge, which is kind of like a flat base on the inside of the case. If you imagine that your keycaps are always at an angle inside the interior case, Zondat used to do a the 268, I think was the first board that he did it on. He kind of did the slope down, and as he got to the front of the board, it actually leveled off and was flat. And what that enabled him to do was push the PCB slightly lower. So I think he got some like 17 or 16.5 millimeters in the 268 and the 268AG, and I know he's carried that on into other boards as well, trying to reduce that low front height. So this is kind of the next evolution of that. If you don't want that flat bit inside the case, we'll just take it away and we'll push the PCB through that slot and have it almost touching your desk. What it does make me think is that there's going to, for those people that like a bit of flexibility in builds, there's going to be very little of that available, because that PCB is pretty much flush with that front edge of the board when you look at it all condensed together, and especially with those hot swap sockets, the last thing you want to do is have them banging on your desk as you're typing on it. So I imagine the feel of the board will have to be quite firm to prevent that having any impact on the desk.
Yeah.
That being said, from a stylistic perspective, I think it looks interesting, it looks unique, and it looks kind of good. I like how the brass foot weight kind of mirrors the gap at the front. It kind of almost like frames it in a weird way, and it's kind of the opposite because it's a brass bit that drops out of the base almost. It's kind of stepped away from the base. It's not something that's flush. It's definitely got a rise on it to give the board an angle. And I just did find that's a really interesting visual counterpoint to the visibility of the PCB.
Yeah, I completely agree, actually. And this is, so I hate to bring up drama, because I'm not actually trying to, but the Lumina, this was actually something I appreciated a lot on the design of the Lumina, that had that, the brass base that functioned as the bottom, and the weight, and the angle, like, all at the same time. I feel like that was actually kind of successful. And to see it here actually makes me pretty happy as well. And, I mean, you can see that there's a USB cutout right there in the brass piece. So it's not just a weight, this is actually functioning as a pretty integral part of the keyboard, and I think it makes it look very sexy, to be honest with you.
It does look good. I'm not sure I like the exposed PCB. I think that worries me a little bit. You know, I mean, I very rarely spill things on my desk, but if you spill something on your desk and it kind of washed underneath your keyboard today, it wouldn't be as bad as spilling it on top of the keyboard, because those aluminium cases are watertight in terms of wherever the trough sits on them, so the fluid's going to wash underneath. Here it's going to be accessed straight into the port if that happened, you know. And you know, accidents can and do happen. That would worry me a little bit about having it so exposed. And then of course you've got other things as well, such as dust collecting in there and potential shorts, or if you put your board down on a surface that's conductive, or you know, all sorts of different things like that could come into play here. So it is worth bearing that in mind. And with the building, so one of the things that we talked about on the Space 65 is ESD, electric static shock, being built up into keyboards as well. So this might offer an easier channel for those shocks to hit the PCB as well, which does worry me slightly. So I think we've seen quite a lot of that coming out recently. I've seen quite a lot of people talking about are boards ESD protected and to what level. A lot of people have been asking me around the JO2, for example, when UPES did the PCB for it, around how that was protected. And, you know, I think it's quite keen in people's minds. So to have the PCB exposed like that kind of does worry me a little bit. I get the aim to try and go for a lower front height. I do completely understand why you'd want to do that from an ergonomic perspective, and from an aesthetics perspective. I think it looks stunning, does this board, from that base angle looking at it. You know, if this was on my shelf, it'd be the board that I turned out to face to show the bottom off. It wouldn't be the board that I show the keycaps off. I'd turn it around the other way. But yeah, it does worry me having the PCB exposed like that.
I mean, it worries me a little bit, but at the same time, look at boards like the Plaid, the Gingham, the Contra, all these, like, really inexpensive boards that are effectively just a PCB with standoffs and then, you know, an FR4 plate or some kind of configuration like that. But at the end of the day, you still have all these components that are just kind of sitting out there.
Yeah, and I completely get that. But these are low-cost kits compared to what is effectively a high-end TKL. It would, if I was going to buy one of these, which I may well do because I think the design's stunning. I'm not trying to naysay it or anything. I would want to definitely buy multiple PCBs for it.
Yeah. Definitely something to consider. But overall, I think the design does look pretty interesting, and I think that if it works, then it's probably going to work pretty well. And obviously, I think this is probably going to be one of those things where this is probably designed a lot for the designer themselves. Because let's be real, how many people are really chomping at the bit to get a 14mm front height keyboard? I think most people are kind of okay with 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. All the usual suspects that we see a little bit more in the community. And, you know, while it's cool, it's like, is there also really a market for this? Are people really looking for a keyboard with that low of a front height and that much of an angle? So I think the market for this kind of type of product is probably going to be pretty niche, but it should satisfy the people that are looking for that exact kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely agree. I think it'll appeal to a lot of people who have been in the community for a while and want to build up their collection of boards and things like that. I think, but I think you're absolutely right. There's not many people out there searching for a lower front height. It's definitely going to be contained to a subset of the community. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it is also worth knowing that this is a gasket mount board. You can see the strips here in this exploded picture. They don't really elaborate on how in the post, but you can kind of see how it's done here.
He does later on. He actually talks about flex in a later on post, which I was going to read for, because it's kind of interesting. Because I've always maintained that there's two different ways you can use gaskets on a board. One is, and it's kind of like a sliding scale, so you can use it absolutely for flexibility at one end of the scale, and then you can use it for sound change at the other end of the scale. And there's kind of like a halfway house in between. So, for example, the J series of boards is about 3/4 of the way along that journey. It's very much more in the sound camp than it is in the flexibility camp, but it does offer a softened bottom out when you're typing. Same for the Kepler and a few other boards. And then, depending on which board you pick on, you tend to get more towards the flex side of things. With some of the boards that are insanely flexy, like the IDB, for example. But what he actually does say is in one of the posts later on, which is about halfway down the thread, he says, for obvious reasons, this board is not designed to allow any flex. The gasket mount is strictly for acoustic purposes. The gaskets will be in a high compression, and based on my testing, should not give more than 0.2 millimeters in total, which is plenty of space within the case. So there we go.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, they're showing it here with a brass plate as well, and as we all know, brass plates don't really flex. Like, you don't really get that much flex when you type on one of those, so that's worth noting as well. But regardless, it's looking quite interesting, and I'm looking forward to a group buy for this.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to see the pricing on this and stuff.
Yes.
I'm definitely interested. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. All right. Well, we'll have to find that out later. Next up, we have the interest check for the Oil 67. I'm not entirely sure on the naming scheme here, but this is quite an interesting board. There's actually not very much info here. We do know that it's top mount, we do know that it's 7 degrees, we know that it's aluminum and brass, and pretty much everything else is up for debate. But let's take a look at this layout, because I think that's probably what makes this board actually interesting. So, kind of an exploded 65 setup, sort of like the Chimera, but this one takes it quite a bit further, even segregating the escape key. So, what's this layout like for you, Jay? Are you a fan of this?
So I like exploded arrow clusters and the right-hand macro column for 65%. I really, really do enjoy that. Like you said, on the Chimera, it fits. There's a ton of other boards with that kind of layout out there as well these days. So I do like that. I don't mind the positioning of the badge in the top right corner. I think that works quite nicely, although I'm not particularly a fan of the logo. I don't like what's happening with the escape key. That just feels weird and off balance, and it doesn't sit right with me personally. It just changes the look of the board. Like, you can see why you'd want to put the arrow cluster together, and putting the arrow cluster together and moving it separate to the actual board kind of leads way to being able to put that right hand macro column as slight distance away as well. That kind of all makes sense when you think about it. But the escape key, it just looks strange and adrift. It looks like it's an afterthought, marooned up there in the top corner. I'm not a fan of that.
I pretty much agree, and I try to be pretty open-minded about this, and I was thinking before the show, what kind of purpose does segregating the escape key like that actually do on a board of this size and layout? And I gotta be honest, I was drawing blanks. I really don't know. What do you guys think in chat? Does this make sense from a design standpoint? Is there a reason to segregate the escape key like that, or is it strictly an aesthetic thing?
Yeah, I mean, even aesthetics, it doesn't work for me personally. Like, the arrow keys, you can see why people want to move them off to one side. They don't want to hit the control key by mistake, for example, or whatever the key they've got bound to the left of the left arrow. That kind of makes sense. It gives you a bit of segregation. It's the same reason why we see a blocker on 65s, like on the Space 65 that we saw earlier on. That's the reason it's got a blocker there. It gives you that kind of separation between what your alpha cluster is and your arrow cluster is, so that you can, do whatever productivity you're using. It's the same reason why it's like that on TKLs and other pieces. But for the escape key, it just feels like what they've tried to do is visually balance the design and come up a little bit short, and it just doesn't work for me. One thing I do like about the design, though, because I don't want to hang on about the negatives about this, is I kind of like that gold inlay around the edges.
Yes.
Now, I'm not sure how that's actually achieved, because it looks like it's part of the plate, and the plate is inserted as one piece, which I'm not a fan of, but I do like the gold inlay idea itself, kind of having that accent piece around the outside. We saw a brief version of this the other week with the AKIS, where they had the little strip right across the top, and we talked about that length. Here, around the whole cluster of keys, I kind of like it, though.
Yeah, I like it as well. I liked it a lot when we saw it on the... What was what was that TKL? The square 80%.
Yes,
I believe it was
the square
called.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked that one quite a bit, and you know, mostly due to that inlay, and I like that here as well. And I think it does add so much character around these segregated clusters, and it does kind of look nice around the escape key as well. But then you start to realize the escape key is still just up there, and it just looks kind of goofy. A couple notes in chat here. Wilson says artisan place. So yeah, maybe you can segregate it there. You can put an artisan there, and it kind of shows it off a little bit more away from the rest of the keyboard.
Maybe
could be a potential usage there. I don't know if that's, you know, what most people consider a good usage of it, but maybe that could be it. Some people just saying it's aesthetic. Yeah, I mean, that's all that I could come up with, really. I don't understand why else you would need that. I guess maybe some people accidentally hit the escape key when they don't want to. Is that a common problem our community has, maybe?
Maybe.
It just feels like this is solving a problem that doesn't exist.
Yeah, and maybe Forbes has got a point that said at this point people are just trying to do something to be unique because they're too worried about copying others. Maybe there's something to that. I think visually this board might look a little bit better if that logo in the top right was a bit smaller to try and match the size and shape and position of the escape key. If they were kind of, you know, matching, that might help. But yeah, it's a little bit large, that logo as well. I do agree with the couple of people that mentioned that. Yeah. I don't know. I'm all for trying new things. I just think visually it looks off. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really curious about this inlay as well, because they say it's top mount. So, like, how do you exactly achieve this inlay? Like, with a top mount
I was just reading. There's a couple of ways you could do it. I've got a couple of ideas in my head. The first way you could do it is you could have it as a milled piece, where it was so it's kind of like the upright piece is just thin and all the way around, and it's, you know, whatever 1 millimeter thick, for example, and then it's got a base on it that you would then screw up to the top, and then you would screw the plate up behind that, so you'd have them both top mount. So it'd be a top mount.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. Actually, now that I think about it, the HB85 accomplishes it the exact same way. So yeah,
exactly.
That
yeah,
does make sense.
it's just the thickness of the border at that point. The HB85 is like 5 inches thick or whatever it is on the board.
It's pretty wild.
A couple of millimeters, but you could do it the same way. Now they do say it's separate to the plate. I was reading through the rest of the thread, and it is separate to the plate, so you could have a different plate on there if you wanted. So if you wanted POM or whatever else, you could do that. So yeah, that's one way you could do it. The other way you could do it as well is you could just have it as the inlay and screw it in from the sides or the top and bottom, wherever you wanted to do, before you put the top case on the board. That's another way you could do it.
Yeah. I'd like to see some more info on it. I think there is potential here, but maybe some things need to change. I think the logo resizing and potentially the escape key placement could be reconsidered with enough feedback. You never know. Otherwise, the board really doesn't look that bad. It seems pretty okay otherwise, but we don't really have a whole lot of info, so...
There's some great ideas here. I think it just doesn't aesthetically work for me. I just don't like the look of it. But I think the rest of the board looks great. And I really, really do like that inlay. That kind of gold edging to the keycaps looks great. So, yeah.
Cool.
Definitely hoping to see some more on this.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see if it does make it to the group buy phase.
Langelandy's just made me laugh. He says it was nice of them to render it with cafe.
Wow.
Meme that keeps on giving.
Love it. Alright, next up, we have the group buy for the Canvas and Mahjong 65% boards. So these kind of flew under the radar a little bit. So basically, this is a two-part group buy. There's the Canvas and the Mahjong, and the Canvas, as you can see here, is effectively kind of like a White Fox, which is just kind of like a nicer bottom-mount, low-profile keyboard. But this one has a left-handed numpad to go along with its 65% layout. And the Mahjong is effectively the same layout, but is a high-profile, different design. And they use the same PCB, so you can join for either of these. The low-profile version starts at about $150, and the high-profile version starts at about $200 before any kind of shipping or fees. So, not terribly expensive. These are relatively budget-oriented keyboards. They don't have a whole lot of design going on with them. They don't have a whole lot of, well, much of anything else, rather. There's no angle, even. You have to buy feet separately, if that's more your thing. So, definitely a different kind of market for this particular board, but could be an option if you're looking for something on the budget. How do you feel about this?
Yeah, I think it's nice to offer two different philosophies for the board. So effectively, you've got a design for a layout and a board that you want to do, which is great. And then you've got, depending on budget and taste, you've got two different styles that people can pick that design up and that layout up. So I think that's a good thing in general. Nice to see more Southpaw boards. I know you're a fan of those, Brian.
Yes.
Even though you've still not built yours, but. Well, whatever. But yeah, it is nice to see people doing multiple things with the same design and offering a couple of cases. It's something we don't see often enough, to be honest. So I'm glad to see that. I'm happy to see it. It seems very limited in terms of its layout, and it looks like it uses clip-in stabilizers on the plate at least, which is an interesting design choice. But yeah, I'd be interested to see if any other layouts are available, or I can't see. I'm not sure if it's just me that's missing it. I can't see any layout or KLEs available of what's supported.
I don't think there's any other layouts. I think it's fairly fixed here, just like the White Fox was. To me, this is effectively just a alternative new White Fox that has the left-handed numpad. It is worth noting that the high-profile version is actually top mount.
Oh, interesting.
Which is kind of interesting. Yeah. So. Yeah, pretty interesting, and it does have a weight piece on the accent too. I had the picture open just a moment ago. But for $200, it actually seems like an okay bit of kit. Like you get a weight there, you get you get a top mount plate, you get a high profile design. Sure, you have to order some feet, but all said and done, you're not really spending a whole lot on a custom keyboard for it. So not too bad.
Yeah,
but otherwise relatively uninteresting. But
well, I don't know. I don't know. You say uninteresting. You say uninteresting. I think the main interesting about this is the fact that they've got two designs for the same layout, and depending on your price point, I think that's a great thing. I think we should definitely see more of that in the community. Being budget friendly and in times of austerity as well. It's going to happen with coronavirus. The things are going to go into a little bit of recession. I think. I think it's a good idea to do stuff like this. I think this is a really good idea. What I would be really interested in is how many people actually pick up both of these and get one of each. We always see in group buys that someone's bought both variants or whatever. If we've got different colours or there's a special edition and a limited edition and a normal edition or whatever, you have people that buy one of each and stuff like that. I'd be really interested to see if anyone actually buys both of these.
Yeah, it is worth noting that these are actually somewhat limited as well. So the high-profile design has a unit cap of 50. And the low-profile design has a unit cap of 25. So interesting. The more accessible and less expensive version actually has half the unit cap that the higher-end one has, which I thought was kind of interesting. Usually it's the other way around when you see something like that.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, 75 boards, though, for one person to QC and ship, that's a lot of work. If you're not used to doing it, that's a lot of work.
Yeah. It is also worth mentioning that for this particular run, he is not shipping outside the U.S. So, pretty limited on the group buy here. I mean, you could always have someone proxy one for you, I guess, but at that point, you are spending more on it. But regardless, it is an option. It is open now, and I'm actually not sure if the spots have filled up yet. He doesn't actually make note of that, but if they're not, then have at it, if this is your thing. Alright, let's move over to some key sets, shall we?
Key sets, absolutely.
Yeah, first up we have an interest check for Enjoy EPBT DuckLight, a Dark Duck themed set. Are you familiar with Dark Duck? Because I'm not.
I'm familiar with Darkwing Duck, but that's something very different, I think.
See, that's what I thought this was at first too, but I guess it's not. So I'm not really sure what this is supposed to be based off of. Regardless, I don't think it looks that amazing either.
Darkwing Duck is the first thing that comes up when I search for it, which kind of makes sense. Yeah,
maybe someone in chat knows. I wonder if they just
mean it's like a duck colorway, but dark.
Is this
maybe that's what it is?
Is this a meme? It kind of feels like it could be a meme.
I don't know, because look, I mean, being honest,
interest check seems fine.
Great. Yeah, I don't think it's a meme. I think it's just we might be looking into the dark duck too much. Maybe they just mean it's literally duck colors, but a little bit muted, a little bit darker. Maybe that's literally all they mean by that.
Themed from a duck. I like it.
Logo for Poop usually watches, so if you're about, dude, you might be able to answer these questions for us as we're live. I know he's usually in chat.
Yeah, I would like to know a little bit more. just a little bit more. But yeah, so how do you feel about the colorway?
First off, I really like the alphas. I think though that it reminds me a lot of GMK Merlin in terms of the modifiers from Merlin, but these are on the alphas. I quite liked that. I think that the alphas work really well. The mods, I'm not quite so keen on them with the white text and the paler kind of color there. Now, normally, it's really nice to see something that's got a paler mod set to the alpha set because it's something that we don't often see. I don't feel like it quite works here, but I think that the yellow caps work quite well with it as well. So,
yeah,
I think my favorite design feature is the accent arrows, which is duck feet.
The duck feet. That's actually pretty
great.
Good. Yeah,
that's really cool. Yeah.
That's pretty good. So it is worth mentioning, obviously, this is Enjoy PBT, so this isn't going to be terribly expensive, hopefully. So let's take a look at the kit breakdown here. The base kit looks relatively full-featured. It is missing a couple things, including maybe some space bars, but it's kind of interesting to force accent spacebar for, what is that? That must be the 6.25, I assume. So,
yeah,
forced 6.25 view accent spacebar in the base kit, which is kind of strange. You have numpad in here. You have basic ISO support, and of course, obviously, you have novelties and accents as well. So, what do you think about the forcing the 6.25 view accent spacebar in the base kit, and what kind of price do you think we're going to see this kit at?
Okay, so to address your first point first, I think if you're going to enforce accent spacebars in the base kit, you do it for all the spacebars in the base kit. Now, I would still be highly against that because I think you should always have the alpha coloured ones in there, or perhaps even on occasion modifiable coloured ones depending on the set. But to have the accent one as the main spacebar, as the de facto leader of the spacebar, I think that probably pushes it out a little bit for a lot of people. They should definitely consider putting that change back in. Yeah, and it's interesting how I assume that's a 7U one on with the 1.5 and 1U mods. Yeah, although it doesn't quite look like it to my eyes, but maybe that's because I'm tired. But yeah, if you're going to have the accent spacebar in there, why is the 7U one not an accent spacebar as well? You know, if they want to say the accent is the de facto spacebar for this set, then make it so, right? You know, you should do it for both of the spacebars.
Yeah.
Couple of other things I've noticed as well. There's 3 sets of arrows. That seems like overkill. I'd probably get rid of the mod-coloured arrows because they're the weaker set. Keep the 2 yellow versions and just force the accent for the arrows. I think that would be fine.
No, you're wrong.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Jay.
Yeah, well,
no. You can't have 2 sets of arrow keys and have both of them be the same accent color in the base kit and not offer the proper normal arrows. That's just as bad as forcing accent spacebar, in my opinion.
Maybe we can agree to disagree on that. I'm not quite sure what the novelty is in the base at the bottom, but it looks like a duck sneezing, but I could be wrong.
I'm assuming it's probably just supposed to be like a quack, maybe. I don't.
Oh, okay, so it's like the volume coming out of its mouth. That's a little bit confusing. The ANSI enter key though is really cute. The little the duck with its ducklings. That's really cute. I do like that. I'm a big fan of that.
Missed opportunity for a ISO accent enter.
Yeah, you only can go with the mod colored one.
Yep. Very interesting. So maybe they can reconsider some of the kitting here. The 40s kit actually looks okay, and the spacebar kit's, it's about as cut down as you can get. But you got to get your. Oh, wait a minute! Hold on. Does this set not have a standard alpha colored 625 spacebar?
No, it doesn't. No, you are completely right, because that's 6U and 7U in this Enjoy PBT space bars. There is no standard 6.25 spacebar. You are completely correct on that.
I'm going to proceed with the assumption that this base kit is actually just wrong, and they are planning on making adjustments, starting with the accent color for spacebar in the 625 size.
Okay.
Because, that's how I'm going to proceed. Right. I hope I'm right, too, because otherwise this is going to be a very interesting kitting. And I am not going to be completely all for that. So we'll have to wait and see. But colors look fine otherwise. I know you're a fan of the alphas, so...
Yeah, do you think this would work better if they split out all of the accent keys and the novelties from the base kit and made an accent kit? Did it that way?
I don't know. Maybe we don't really see a whole lot of Enjoy PBT sets these days. Most people are still on the GMK train, so I think as far as the kitting goes for Enjoy PBT sets, I don't think anyone really kind of understands how it's supposed to work. So I think people are kind of just throwing ideas at the wall and hoping something sticks.
Yeah, maybe you're absolutely right on that.
Yeah. So we don't know. Also, shout out to Mr. Petrov, who donated $15. Thank you.
Yeah.
So much,
Also, shout. Oh wow, $15! Wow, thanks, man. Also, shout out to we'll go through the subs that we've missed, but just shout out to Flexaman, my partner in crime with the Lodestone, for gifting 5 tier 1 subs earlier on as well. Thank you very much for those, dude. Appreciate that.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And to Talisman Solutions, who donated 1,111 bits. Thank you so much, man. Switch Keys AU donated 100 bits earlier. Thank you for that. And I think we missed a couple subs too, but now I can't remember. Oh, Mo0 subbed tier 1 for 30 months in a row. One of the OGs. Thank you so much. Yeah. Appreciate that. Yeah. And Orange Osh did sub with Twitch Prime for 4 months. So thank you so much. Appreciate that, my friend.
Thank you. Gia says, Jay, don't you know Brian is always right? No. We'll disagree.
I'm not.
There's Apocalypse is coming back. Is that spacebar under the other one 6.25 view? So I thought that as well as Apocalypse. When I was looking at it, it looked like the blue spacebar in the base kit looks like it's 6.25 view to me, and not a 7 view spacebar. But why would you have the 7? Why it's really confusing as to why they put that with the Sangan bottom row. In fact, you're absolutely spot on. It isn't, because it doesn't cover the same space as the 6.25 U bottom row does on the keyboard. It's definitely the wrong size spacebar in that slot. It's 0.75 U short.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's just wrong. But let's be real. The bottom line is you really need that alpha colored spacebar.
Yeah, well, I think that is it, and it's just that the 7U you have to go to the other pack if you want a 7U. You have to go to the spacebar pack if you want the 7U one.
Yeah. All right. Well, very interesting kitting, but we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, it's just an interest check, so anything is subject to change. And with that said, let's move on to our next topic, which is the interest check for GMK Frost Witch by Megaforce. So we have another anime/light novel themed set here. This is based on ReZero, Starting Life at Another World, which is a rather good anime, if I do say so myself. It's definitely something I enjoyed. And this is coming from Megaforce, who is kind of known around the community as, well, probably one of the biggest weebs the community has to offer. And he loves Emilia. That's something he likes to say a lot. So this set is themed around Emilia.
He actually says that the mandatory background story, I love Emilia. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Have a nice day.
Yeah, there we go. I actually love this interest check because if you're not a weeb, a lot of it is going to be lost on you, but there's so many weeb references within the thread itself that are kind of just like spiced around subtly that I got a lot of enjoyment reading through it. But regardless, let's take a look at the set itself. So, how do you feel about the colors here? Because I can't really make a decision on them.
So in the base kit render, I dislike it. In the actual render of what I think is the Rama M60A at the top, I actually really like it. So I genuinely don't know how I feel about it. Is my honest answer. I think it just looks very different in the renders to the kit breakdown renders, which is really interesting. I don't like the end text of the Emilia one, but then again, I have no reference as to what GMK Frost Witch is about. I don't know who Emilia is. I've never seen that, so I can't pass comment on it, but I dislike the enter. Some of the novelties seem fun, but I do really like. I think the big standout for me is that the alpha colors really nice. I think the 2 shades of purple in the alphas really, really work well together. That's what I would take away from this. The mods I could take or leave, but the alphas I really, really do like.
Yeah, I do like the colors. I think one thing I'm getting a little tired of seeing, and I understand why they do it, is because it's a quote-unquote weeb set. Does it have to have Japanese sublegends just because it's based on an anime or a light novel?
Like, I think the community has decided that yes, it does.
See, and that's something I feel like we should probably take a step back and think about again. I think that we could probably design a set that is based on something from Japanese culture without using Japanese sublegends. I think that's a possibility. Don't get me wrong, I still think the set looks good. I'll probably wind up buying it, let's be honest. But it'd be kind of nice to see an anime-themed set that didn't force the... well, not force, I guess, since there is an alternate kit, but didn't default to Japanese sub-legends.
Sure, yeah, I can appreciate that. I mean, I'm never, or very, very rarely, a huge fan of any of the Katakana or Hiragana sub-legends or anything like that. I usually dislike them. But as I say, I really like the alphas on this set. I don't get the reference material, so I can't comment on how it relates to that, but I think the base kit looks pretty solid. The only change I would make is for the ISO keys, don't have both the row 4 and the row 3 key the same, just make one of them different. Don't care if you don't give me full UK ISO, but make those two keys different. That's the only thing I would change in the base kit, because other than that, it covers pretty much everything. There's HHKB, different bottom rows in there. You know, this one does have 6.25 and 7 new space bars. Yeah, everything's in there. It looks really solid from a base kit perspective.
Yeah, I completely agree.
And the return of the purse caps lock as well. We've not seen that on a set for a little while. I can't remember the last time we saw that, but the return of the purse caps lock.
I like the purse caps lock. I gotta be honest. I think it's pretty
I'm a big fan of it, yeah.
So people in chat, Pluto and Zombimon are saying Terra and Mizu. Terra and Mizu, as far as I'm aware, are not Japanese themed. Those are based off of Avatar, which is not an anime. It's not Japanese. I'm pretty positive it's American. I'm sure chat will correct me if I'm wrong. But
yeah, I have no fight in this argument because I have no idea. I know what Avatar is, but
I'm actually curious. Is Avatar considered a Japanese anime? The Last Airbender. Sorry, I'm gonna do a real time look here because I'm not sure. As far as I'm aware, it was American, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I have zero idea because this kind of thing isn't up my street at all. The one thing I do notice though is that in the novelties pack there's two diamond kind of kite shapes. They remind me of No Man's Sky if anyone's played that game, but I don't know how they relate to this particular base kit.
Yeah, novelties I think are pretty good. Honestly, the Emilia Enter I think is it's quite nice there. Spacebar kit, pretty intense. That's just about any spacebar you could possibly want, as well as your Alice B's, of course. And then there's a pretty nice accent kit, too.
Yeah,
nothing
I do
really
think
bad
that I'm probably going to pick up the accent kit and also pick up the Latin Alphas kit for this, because I think I could use that Latin Alphas kit with something else. You know, it has got the two, the row 3 and the row 4 pipe /key, which I wish was slightly different, but I really do like the alpha color, and I think I could match that with some other modifiers quite nicely.
Megaforce is in chat now, making fun of me for thinking Mizu isn't Japanese. I know Mizu as a word is Japanese, but Avatar, which is what Mizu is based on, is not a Japanese cultured set, as far as I'm aware. Yeah. I'm okay with being wrong, but that's all right.
Fair enough. I mean, I have no horse in this race, so I'm happy for you to be wrong on this, Brian. I'm just going to assume you are, because you were wrong earlier on about the timing of the show, and so I'm just going to assume it's the day of Brian being wrong. But yeah, I really do like those alpha colors. Megaforce, yeah. Oh, thank you very much for putting the second ISO in there just for me. So I'm definitely going to pick up the accent kit and the Latin Alphas kit because I really love the colors, but I'm not sure if the whole set's for me because I just can't relate to the reference material. But yeah, if you're listening, Megaforce, I think your name's Adam as well. I think you got by Adam on the Discord. The row 3 and row 4 keys for ISO, make them different. Don't have the same key. That's the only thing.
Jay will preach that until the ends of the earth.
Yeah, I've stopped preaching the UK ISO train because it's just not going to happen, but I'll preach this one because this one's got more chance of sticking.
Yeah, fair enough. So this is going to be coming to switchmod.net, which is, of course, Krellbit's store. I think the other vendors have not been confirmed yet, but we'll have to wait and see. Other than that, I like it, honestly. I think it's a pretty successful set, and I like the source material. I like the colors. There's not a whole lot I don't like about this.
Can you give me a bit of an update on what the source material is about, so I can try and...
So it's like an... It's been a while since I've seen it, but it's like an isekai, which is effectively, you know, you have a main character that gets transported to a fantasy world, per se, and he has to, you know, make his new life in this new world, where maybe he came from the real world, but now he's in this fantasy setting, and, you know, he's meeting characters and learning the culture and stuff like that. And
okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So, like the never-ending story then, right? That kind of thing. But just Japanese.
in a way, I guess you could say that.
Okay, I'm just trying to relate it to something I can understand. That's all.
I'm sure Megaforce in chat could give you a really fantastic breakdown on.
Oh gosh,
on
I
what
wait the
DMs.
DMs.
Yeah, I'm sure he can tell you all about it. But alas,
Mr. Petrov taking my words out of context. I didn't say never-ending stories in anime. I meant about the character being taken out of their world and plucked and put into something else. Yeah, GMK Falcor, when that would be amazing. Yeah.
A Japanese never-ending story.
What was the name of the kid in it? Was it Bastian? Was that his name?
Was it Sebastian? Or was it just Bastian?
No.
I don't remember.
Yeah. Lack of cultural respect. It's an American movie. I can't even remember who wrote the book, but I do have the book.
Alright. Regardless, we've rambled about this topic for a little longer than probably necessary. Let's move on to our next topic here. Interest check for GMK Orchid, which is, as you could probably guess, based on the orchid flower and vintage botanical illustration. Here's a little sample art for you there.
Yeah, I love that picture. That's an amazing picture.
It is. It is really nice. What do you think about the set itself, though?
I'll be honest. When I was scrolling down this and I saw the GMK Orchid, and then I saw the nice vintage picture of the orchids, and then I saw the set, it wasn't what I was expecting to see. But I don't think that was a negative outcome. I think that's actually quite positive. What I do really like about this set is the colors used. It really reminds me of almost like a Bingsu light, if that makes sense. Kind of take Bingsu, give it some white alphas, give it some more ruby kind of accent keys, and go from there. It does kind of give me that kind of feel. The big thing that jumps at me as well when I'm looking at that kind of first image is that there is a lot of the cream, there is a lot of the pinkish purple, and there's a lot of the deep red, but there's no green in that first render, which is where the Pantones are shown. So you have to scroll all the way down and go into the other kits to try and find a green key. So I do feel like they should maybe update that, and if that's Pantone being used, maybe show some more examples of that up front. But that's literally the only complaint I would have about this interest check. I think other than that, everything else is fairly well laid out. They've taken the Pantone colors, they've got everything laid out. And we know GMK tends to prefer RAL colors to Pantones, but Pantones can be done. So I think they'll be well aware of that and how to manage that with their vendors of choice, and I'm sure that'll all be just fine. But it is something to bear in mind when you're designing a key set. But yeah, I think there's a lot of work clearly gone into this. I think it looks good. I don't dislike it at all. That being said, when I do look at the renders where there are some green, I don't feel like the green fits. I think it just feels a little bit out of place, and I definitely prefer the reds and the purples and the creams altogether.
Yeah, I don't think I could have said that any better myself. I completely agree. The green does feel a little out of place. I much prefer these higher contrast accents with the red as well. So, yeah, looking pretty nice, though. I do like this. Do like that.
Yeah, I think it's got a lot of potential. I think it could go quite far, but I say it really does strike me as Bingsu light. That's the first thing I see when I see the set, and I don't mean that as a negative or derogative comment or any way like that. I think that's a good thing, and I think it's the mods that just remind me of Bingsu. But yeah.
Mr. Petrov saying that we're wrong. The green is better. Interesting.
Well, usually I'm a fan of green. I just don't think it works with the plumish, purplish colours of the modifiers. I just don't think it works. I think it clashes too much.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, there you go. Mr. Petrov, don't worry. You can have your green accents. Jay and I will stick with the other ones. Let's move on to something that's in group buy currently. This is GMK Lunar. Forgot to cover this last week. I guess it did technically go live 6 days ago, but should have been on the last show regardless. But anyways, let's talk a little bit about GMK Lunar, which is based off of the Apollo 11's mission 50th anniversary. So this is based off the Apollo guidance computer and the interface it uses, which is known as DISCI. And there's a lot of reference images here too. Love seeing that. So a lot of space-themed sets. Why do you think we're seeing so many space-themed sets coming out lately?
Because of last year, it was the whole anniversary. It was was it 50 years or 60 years? 50 years since 60 years since wait, my math's gone. No, 50 years since the moon landings and all that kind of stuff. There's a whole kind of space race going on again at the minute. We're seeing a lot of hype from SpaceX and Virgin Galactic and all of the other startup companies, and I think it's starting to become something that's creeping back into common culture that, let's start pushing back towards the stars and let's pushing back towards space exploration and things. It's started to become much more ingrained into culture now that we've kind of settled out of the Cold War and everything else, and we've kind of been going through some reasonably good times across the world. All things considered, it's the most peaceful time the world's ever had right now, and that's kind of highlighted as let's do space for the right reasons, and that's just brought it to the forefront of everyone's minds, I suspect. And part of that is harking back to what we've done, the big achievements that we've had in that kind of space era. So for those of you who don't know, we walked on the moon. A lot of people say that didn't really happen, but it did. So naysayers beware. But it's a great thing to live up to, and all those people that took part in those missions and made that kind of stuff happen, it should be celebrated. And this is harking back to all of those systems and technologies that made it happen. We have more power in our pockets these days than what these guys that flew to the moon had in their entire ships, but they had some of the most amazingly built hardware that we've ever created on the planet. Stuff that could survive things that we didn't even know what it had to survive. Going into space. So I absolutely think it's a great idea, and to see more of this space kind of themed stuff is a good thing, because it's really part of the common public lexicon right now to see all of this kind of space stuff, and it's quite popular. The NASA jackets and NASA shoes and other NASA branded things are taking off right now, and it's the culture of the geek, right? The nerd culture of the world. We kind of love that kind of thing, so why not bring it to keyboards?
Yeah, that is definitely something to think about. So how do you feel about the colorway itself, though? Pretty standard here. It's just kind of another grayscale sort of set with some accents, but
we
have some interesting things here. So as you can see here, and it's going to be very obvious in this picture, the numpad, we obviously have a different color entirely, as to more replicate the source material there. And we have a lot of new molds coming on for this one as well. So a lot of text novelties in this one, which, as you guys probably know, I'm a huge fan of.
Yeah, likewise. I think this set is quite possibly... do you remember last year when I was on the show and we talked about GMK Cafe right up at the front of the year, and I said it's going to be my set of the year?
Yeah.
I think this might be that for this year, because I just like everything about this set. There is nothing that I dislike about this set. I like the accent color of the yellow. I like the fact that the numpad's a different color to the base kit. I like all of the text novelties. There is nothing to not like in this set. For me personally, it just harks back to everything that I know and love about technology and space flight and all of that kind of stuff. The biggest thing that I like is the bottom row here. So if you see the ZXC VBNM row, so the shift row, the fact that they've got July 20th, 1969 on the ZXC keys, and then Buzz, Neil, and Mike, which were the three guys as part of that mission on the B, N, and M keys. I think that it's just the classiest thing we've seen in key sets, paying homage to what is technically the world's proudest moment. That all those Americans and people around the world that made that flight possible, that made going to the moon possible, and those guys being the two guys to walk on the moon, were the first guys to be there, Buzz and Neil, and Mike up in Eagle 1 at the time, making sure that everything was good for them, and just amazing stuff. So to actually pay homage to that into this set is just really good. It means a lot to me. So yeah, I'm a huge proponent of this set. And then, as you said, all of the modifiers have some sort of reference back to the source material. So going back to all of those systems and machines, you've got keys like uplink activity. You've got keys like operator error for backspace, which is a great novelty for backspace when you think about it, because it usually does mean that it's you that's cocked up, because that's why you're using backspace or delete. So yeah, I don't dislike any of the text novelties in this. I think it's all really, really good, and I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, I love seeing that. Something that's turning off some people, though, is definitely going to be the price. $160 for the base kit. So
yeah, but you have to remember that every single modifier key is a new mold. Yes. So that's instantly going to drive up cost.
Yeah. So for anyone wondering why it's $160 for the base kit, that's generally going to be the reason. Lots of new molds because of these text novelties. So some people are going to like that. Some people maybe not so much. for a set like this, I'm willing to pay the extra just because there are so many text novelties, and that's something that is that important to me for a set like this in particular.
Yeah, I mean there isn't a single key in that 10 key cluster, or the TKL cluster that isn't isn't a single modifier key that isn't a new legend. Every single modifier key there, apart from ones like the pipe and the pipe backslash and the tilde key, everything else that is a text based key there is a new mold. It's something new. It's a good thing. It's building up the legend capability of GMK. These might be available for reuse for other things. Some of them are really, really clever. Gimbal lock for caps lock, the operator error for backspace. They're such good novelties.
Yeah,
you couldn't improve on that, I don't think.
And you do get a decent amount of compatibility in this base kit too. You get the numpad, you get the basic ISO support, you get a fair amount of space bars, and you do get all of your accents as well, including the ISO accent. So.
Yeah, and whilst it doesn't include UK ISO in the base kit, which is my only gripe with this, it doesn't have the same key twice, which is good. And as someone in chat was saying, if you bought Apollo, which was a very similar themed set, and added the numpad to that, that's $170. So the fact that this has a bigger base kit off the bat, it kind of works out. I think the pricing is justified. So if anyone's worried about the pricing of this set, I think it's absolutely fair.
Yeah.
Yep. Should we talk about some of the other kits?
Yeah, definitely. So there's a novelties kit here as well. So just in case the accents in the base kit weren't quite enough for you, you have a pretty nice array of novelties, honestly, as well as a couple text novelties. So love seeing that. What are your thoughts on these particular ones?
I really, really like some of them. So the red, I'm not a massive fan of, but I kind of see why you have it. The abort key is my favorite single key out of those, of the red ones. But other than that, I can see why they're there. What I do really, really, really like though is the is the command module on the surface of the moon with the flag there. I like the helmets. The rest of the novelties just scream at me, and the first footprint on the moon, and we'll talk about it in a second, but the Salvum cap as well, where we've got that first footprint on the moon, just absolutely stunning. Love it all. Novelties. The only thing I would change about this novelties is I'd probably just remove the red arrows, the red space bars, and the red prog key, and keep everything else in there because I think it's just great.
Fantastic. There's also a Dark Alphas kit if that's a little bit more your style. So that gives you a little bit more matching with that numpad too, if you're going to be using that. And then there's a Space Bars kit. Then there is what they're calling the Service Module, which to me effectively looks like an ErgoDox
it's an assembly
kind of setup.
Kit, right?
Yeah, so very, very cool stuff there. They have a few different desk... Wow, how many desk pads does this one have? 4?
Yeah,
that's impressive.
Some cool designs though. Some really cool designs.
They are very nice. Man, yeah, some of these are pretty wild.
Yeah, this is going to be my big spend for this month. If you hadn't guessed already, guys.
I was about to ask: are you buying everything that this set entails?
Right. Okay. So I'm definitely buying the base kit. I'm definitely buying the novelty kit, and I'm definitely buying the alternate alphas. I'm also going to buy 3 of the desk mats, which is the top 3, because I really love all 3 of those. The 4th one, which shows the kind of path and the journey that it went through, the shuttle went through. Whilst I do like it, I don't think I would ever use that particular desk mat because it would go. I would cover up the 2 main feature points of that particular mat. I would put my keyboard on one side and I put my mouse on the other, and the only bit I'd see is the bit where the 2 lines cross over. So visually it wouldn't work for my personal setup, but the other 3, they would absolutely fit into my workflow perfectly, so I will definitely pick those up as well.
Oh man, you were right.
And of course,
these Salvin artisans are pretty intense.
Yeah, do you know who took the pictures? Can you guess who took the pictures of those?
Judging by the watermark, it's Queer.
Oh yeah, he's the watermark, right? Okay, yeah, he's Queer. Okay, yeah, yeah. He takes some stunning pictures. He actually so there's one where the cap's got the lunar landing craft in the background. There's like a corner of a spaceman, and if you open that picture up, he's actually put the hash marks in that all of the photos from the moon would have had historically as well. You can't see them on the small picture, but you can see the reference points and things like that. But he actually used all of his Lego sets and set it up with some fine-grained sand and everything else. He had some great Instagram stories of how he made that picture. So, yeah.
Yeah, this
very
is
impressive.
This is a delightful picture, and that cap really is looking fantastic, particularly the moon dust variety. Like the look of the texture on that is just incredible.
Yeah, yeah. Salvan does good work, really good work. And we're actually staying at the same hotel for the UK meetup, so Salvan and I. So I'm really excited to try.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm going to try and make sure I'm at his table for breakfast. Is my plan because I want to have a good chat with him.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. Man, I wasn't thinking about buying this set before, but now I am.
This set is everything about the space race to me. It's just my childhood in a nutshell. Is this set? So, Muradin, you know, I mean, I've spoken to Muradin at length about this set and how much I like it. So, yeah, someone mentioned earlier on, did I want to be an astronaut when I grew up? I really didn't know. I just love the whole stuff about space and the space race and everything else. It's just a period of history that really speaks to me. And I didn't get that insight until a lot later in life. When I was a kid, I couldn't really care less about space and space exploration. I think the furthest I ever got was Biker Mice from Mars when I was a child, if you guys remember that cartoon. But yeah, as an adult, all this makes perfect sense to me.
Nice. Very nice. Shout out to Eskimojo, who subbed at Tier 1 for 12 months. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate that.
Nice. Nice.
All right. So yeah, GMK Lunar, open now. There are your vendors.
I need to think of something I can invoice Mr. Petra for, so I can buy all of this stuff for this month. We'll come up with something after the show for that, Brian.
Whoa! All right, let's move on to our next topic here. Also a group buy. Also something that we forgot to cover last week on the show that we should have, but that is my fault. Regardless, this is Cat Atlantis from Rensuya. Rensuya, obviously a relatively accomplished designer in our community, has done very, very nice sets in the past, including Mizu, which a lot of people enjoy. And he's back with Cat Atlantis, so obviously based on the kind of underwater legendary lore of the lost city of Atlantis. And man, the colors are on point in this one, if you ask me.
Yeah, this looks really good. I am really glad we're covering this, and even if we didn't get to cover it last week, and we should have done, but we didn't need to because it's already hit MOQ, which is absolutely amazing. So 54,000 keys already sold. So yeah, it's now as of whenever this was updated through the 7th of March, it was 87.1k keys. So it's doing amazingly well. I think pretty much everything is going to get made right now. I think the only thing that hasn't hit its MOQ is the Rama cap as well, which has a MOQ of 100 and it's at 63 currently. But this set, it's got everything again. The Cat is absolutely delivering right now in terms of the kit availability, the breakdown of what you can do, the color opportunities. We just need to see more of it in the wild. That's the thing. We need to get more of it out there. But yeah, I think it's absolutely killing it in terms of what it can offer the community.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we still really haven't seen any Cat sets deliver aside from the initial set of Cat Alpha. But, you know, hopes are high. I'm hoping we start to see some of these Cat sets actually hit the wild soon so people can kind of get some peace of mind, rest easy, and, you know, continue to buy these Cat sets. Because I think that's holding back a lot of people in our community right now. A lot of people not buying Cat sets just because they haven't been delivered yet.
But is it? Because if you look at those numbers, they're huge numbers.
They are huge numbers, but I wonder if they would be bigger if we had seen a few Cat sets already been delivered now. Obviously, MOQ handled a lot differently with key creative. It's a lot easier to hit these MOQs because it's based basically per key as opposed to per kit. So
yeah, and it's much better for minorities in the community as well, because you can have 30 different kits and you know, offer keys that other people, very few people might want. So the French and the UK keys, for example, they've sold, as of the last date, these numbers were updated, they'd sold 12 between them, which in any other group buy wouldn't have flown. You know, they would just be cancelled with that kit, it wouldn't be made, whatever. But here, that's absolutely fine. That's great. It doesn't matter. Yeah, if you want it, go for it. All it's taken is the developer, the designer time to come up with that kit, and away you go. It's great.
Yeah, I completely agree. Also, on a total side note, has Rama always had an MOQ for his metal artisans?
I don't believe so.
I feel like that's new, having to have 100 of them.
I think if there was an MOQ, it was significantly lower in the past, but I don't know is my honest answer. Unless there's something different about this one.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. Regardless, these renders with the Chimera, and I know we saw these when the Chimera group buy actually went live, but these are some of my favorite renders I've ever seen in my life. The Chimera with Cat Atlantis. These ones in particular, these are just sublime, and they really do make the key set look very, very impressive.
Yeah, that spacebar, right, looks so good.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, Melodit's saying, is this the first cat artisan? Might be for a new mold. Is it the first cat Rama artisan? I'm not sure. That's a good question, actually. I guess that's a good point. I didn't really think about that.
There wasn't one for Cat Drifter, I know that for certain. Milkshake, I think, had one, if I remember. It might have even had two. I don't know if I'm honest. I don't know. I'm pretty sure we have seen.
People are saying cat. Milkshake had one. Was Milkshake a Rama cap or was it Salvin? And if it was Rama, did it have a 100 MOQ?
Not sure. I'm pretty sure it was Rama.
Yeah.
I think the guys are right there.
Yeah, Pluto and Undercover Brother saying Rama. Yeah. Okay. Huh. Interesting.
Catlicky Jade had one as well, according to Toxic Monkey. So yeah, okay, yeah. I think there's been a few. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Well, so that's available for purchase right now. Obviously, group buy running until somewhere around the end of the month, I believe. Or sorry, April 1st is when it ends. A base kit is going to run you about $93. A base kit, quote unquote, there being alphas with some kind of modifier, either icon or text. That covers a fair amount of keyboards, actually, all things considered, with the kit breakdown.
Yeah.
We're not going to go through all the kits because there's just too many kits, but for being able to get alphas and modifiers and covering quite a few layouts for about $93, so pretty inexpensive.
Yeah, which is great. And if you want one of your colloquial kits as well, whether it be French or ISO or North or anything else, they don't add much to the price either. ISO's only $17. It's crazy. It's great.
Yeah,
it's
very nice. Yep. Let's just see some of these start getting delivered, and I will be a very, very happy man. Love to see.
Absolutely, because such a good profile as well as the cat profile.
I plan on hopping in on this one for sure. I'm sad I didn't get in on the Chimera 65 now. I want this exact combo now.
Yeah.
It's just so divine.
Me too. Yeah. I wish I'd bought the Lilac one. That's what I wish.
Major regrets. Anyways, let's move away from key sets for now and talk about some other things that are neat that are happening around the community right now. Starting with Gondolindrum's interest check for the Faraday60. I don't know how it's supposed to be pronounced. I've been saying Faraday, but I'm not sure if that's correct.
Yeah, Faraday. It's named after the scientist Faraday. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So there's kind of just a wall of text here, and I'm not gonna read it all out loud to you now. But obviously, the overall theme here is a QMK compatible Topra HHKB replacement PCB. So this is something that no one has really been tackling in our community because it is a pretty serious undertaking. It's not as easy as developing something with an MX switch footprint like like so many designers in the community do these days. Topra is an entirely new beast because it requires capacitance for the actuation, and that in turn makes things a little bit more difficult. But Gondolindrum has decided he wants to answer the call, and I think that's fantastic. Can't really argue with that.
Yeah. Completely agree. I think being able to have something a little bit more custom in the Topra world is not going to be a bad thing at all. I would say I disagree with some of the comments that Gondolindrum makes on there.
Yes.
I know how he feels about existing Topra boards, but other than that, I think the interest check's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Besides the point, he makes some comments about existing Topra boards that I completely don't agree with as well. But with that said, this project is looking pretty awesome, and I do have full faith in Gondo. He is a great dude and a great designer, and if he's willing to put in the effort for an HHKB replacement PCB, I think that's going to be absolutely lovely, and it's going to spark a huge movement. It could potentially spark a huge movement for custom Topra in our community, which we don't really see a whole lot of right now because it is so much more difficult to do than custom MX. So many more variables, so many more things to consider. So I got nothing but respect for Gondo on this one. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, I mean, the technical challenge of this should not be underestimated. I spoke to Yanko about this probably 2 or 3 years ago, and we had a good chat about how difficult it was to do this at one of the meetups in the UK. And I think it was when Zondat was actually starting to look at HHKB replacement cases and potentially custom PCBs and stuff. And Yanko was explaining that it's so difficult to do from a technical perspective, because everything's so secretive around how Realforce and other type of companies have, I think NIS as well, how they've actually achieved it on their boards. And I assume they've just thrown money at it to get it to stick, which is great if you've got an R&D department, but if you don't and you're independent, designer or vendor or retailer, it's very much harder to do it. So the technical challenge of doing this should not be underestimated. So the fact that Gondolindrum has picked up the call and is going to step forward with this is great news for the community.
Yeah. Yep, definitely a good thing. So looking forward to this. I mean, he's really looking to make this pretty feature rich too. So we were talking about ESD protection earlier. He's working on that. He's going to be using an ARM MCU. He's looking at VIA compatibility, the whole 9 yards, he says. So he's really looking on making this a very full-featured HHKB replacement PCB. So he has made notes on some things in here. He's looking for some feedback. Doesn't know if he should be including the USB hub, Bluetooth capabilities, things like that. Obviously, we just saw a refresh from Fujitsu. There's all new HHKBs in the wild now. Is this PCB gonna be usable on that as well? Because somewhere in this post, I'm trying to find the exact wording, but he says HHKB Pro 2 specifically. So I almost wonder if that means it's only going to work with the Pro 2, or is it going to work with these all these new HHKBs, which are no longer branded Pro 2. So.
Yeah. Well, we'll just have to see how it goes out, because I think he wants to do this for a multiple run of boards. I think he eventually wants to be able to tackle all different things and even potentially custom layouts, which could be really...
Thorkin in chat says he's going to go with the FC660C next, which that's amazing as well. So
great idea. I love a 660 layout.
Yeah, one step at a time. So this could be potentially super amazing. The PCB, for example, is not going to be very inexpensive though, and he does make note of that. There's a lot of design work and time that has to go into designing a PCB like this, and a lot of features that he's looking to implement. And because of that, it's not going to be super cheap. But I don't think it needs to be either.
I kind of agree on that.
Like, it doesn't need to be a budget option, obviously. The HHKB is like an enigma in our community. It feels like, with all the boards, all the custom fancy metal $600 boards that our community goes through and loves. And still, look at how many experienced enthusiasts just go back to the HHKB. And, like, that's just their favorite board. And, like, if they had to get rid of their entire collection and only keep one board, most of them would keep the HHKB. That's you hear people say it time and time again. So, I mean, this small plastic, cheap-feeling keyboard that everyone seems to love needs a little upgrading, and I think Gondo is a good person to get that started. So, very much looking forward to this.
How do you feel about a little bit of roleplay for a second, Brian? Are you into that kind of thing? Is that kind of up your street? Because I want to do a bit of roleplay with you if you like.
I thought we kept that in the bedroom, Jay.
Well, we can take it wherever you like, dude. But I want to pitch you a future. Can you imagine? Okay. So here's the future. Okay, so if you close your eyes and you think this through, so you wake up. It's late January 2021, and the first thing you do, as always, is you grab your computing device of choice, your new laptop, maybe your phone, whatever. You take a quick look at Keycap. It's just a steady, easy morning. No worries, no stress, not caring the world. You see a new interest check. You load it up. Interest check loads, there's pictures of a really nice looking keyboard that you want. Whatever layout is your choice, you can pick a layout. I don't know. Let's say it's a TKL board that you've never seen before and you really like the design. And that board offers not just an MX version, but it offers a custom Topra version as well. And the big news is the custom Topra one's only $100 more. How cool would that be if you could have a group buy where you just offered a different typing experience effectively by giving someone a Topra version or an MX version? Yeah, we see it with the FC660C. There's an MX. I can't remember the code for it, but there's an MX version of that as well. But can you imagine if we could actually do that in the custom community too?
Yeah, I completely agree, and that's a day that I hope is somewhere in our near future. Like I mentioned before, a lot of the experienced enthusiasts, they use all these fancy boards, but they still come back to Topra. I'm one of them as well. If I had to get rid of all of my boards tomorrow and only keep one, guess what board I'd keep? My HHKB. So, like, I'm really looking forward to this kind of project, and you know, the HHKB is due for a serious upgrade internally, and you know, in a custom environment, and I think this is only gonna be a good thing, and I'm fully there for Gondo on this, and I'm looking forward to how this turns out.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm hoping this goes really, really well, because I would love to be able to offer a board in the future, as I say, where I could do an MX version of it.
Give me a Topra JO2, Jay. Oh.
There you go, man. Yeah, why not? Yeah, if I could, I would, man. You know, I would definitely do that. Definitely do it.
I'm pretty hyped already. You got me. I have goosebumps right now. You probably can't see this. I legitimately have goosebumps thinking about custom Topra right now. Oh, what a day to be alive, Jay. I like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Fantastic. So, everyone, make sure to give him your feedback if you're into this sort of thing, and, you know, give him your support. He's a good dude. And hopefully we can get this project off the ground. All right. Let's move on to, I don't know why I put this in other. This was my mistake. This should have been Keycaps.
I find it weird, but I didn't have time to before the show because we had to rush, so...
That's fine. We'll just play along like it doesn't actually matter. But this is the interest check for some new POM Jelly keycaps. So POM keycaps were something that were incredibly popular in our community years ago. There was I think it's actually these ones in particular. They were OEM profile, if I'm not mistaken, but they were kind of these rainbow jelly POM keycaps. People were paying so much money for sets of these on the aftermarket, and they were so hard to get a hold of. And then the hype kind of died out, I feel like, and now we're maybe seeing a little bit of resurgence with POM in the community. So I know you actually have maybe a few things to say about this, because if I'm not mistaken, you have a set of these, don't you?
Yeah, I have these in hand right now. I have them on a board. I built these ones from the interest chat on the build stream on Sunday. So just to go back about what you said. So just give a really brief history, and I'll keep it a really brief history of POM keycaps. So way back when, Cherry did some keycaps made of POM. You could get them in black, or I believe they did an L9 version, like a 9009 version as well, on some of their stock boards, not customized or anything like that. They were just stock retailer type boards, and some people really like those. And then back in the community, I think it was 2014, 2015, so getting on to 6-7 years ago now, Feng, who used to be a group buy runner on Geek Hack, found a manufacturer for these, and he did a couple of runs. So he did an original OEM run of POM keys in kind of a white color and a rainbow color. Those are the only two colors that he offered, if I remember correctly. And they had a ton of compatibility. They had pretty much a 104 kit plus some ISO support and the 7U bottom row as well. A little bit later on, he actually found a Cherry profile, and then he ran a group buy for a Cherry profile one as well, which was a little bit more limited in terms of its compatibility, and only offered ANSI and I believe up to 104 key size with a 6.25 U bottom row. And then it kind of died out. There was nothing for a long time on the POM keycap front. And then maybe 6-12 months ago, there was some POM keycaps which came up on Taobao, and they were very, very similar to the ones that Feng had done in the original group buy. They were OEM profile, they were rainbow colored or white, and that was kind of as far as it went. I bought a set at the time, I used them, they were fine. I don't have my Feng keycaps anymore. I thought I'd still got them, but I can't find them to compare. So I don't know where they are or what I've done with them. But and some people bought them, some people didn't. They were relatively inexpensive, but they were a lot thinner, it was noticed, than the original Jelly POMs. And then Escape Keyboards reached out to me a few weeks ago, and they asked if I would like to receive some of their new POM Jelly keycaps. Of course, I said yes immediately, because why wouldn't I? I'm not that much of an idiot, so I said yes, send them across to me, I'll take a look. They actually gave me a choice of colours, so they told me all the colours that were coming, and I told them to surprise me. They must have realised that I liked green, because they did send me the match green coloured keycaps, so it was either luck or chance, but I just told them to surprise me and send me whatever. And I know that Mintley and a few other people got them as well. I think Huey might have got some too, and some other people in the community have got them as well. So yeah, they've been spread around. Now, on the stream on Sunday, I did a comparison between these keycaps and the ones I got off Taobao last year. They are the same. They look to be from the same manufacturer, so the profile's the same, the sculpt's the same, the colours are almost identical. There's slightly different colours in the dies, but they're broadly the same. They even have the so the picture you showed a second ago, Brian, where it has the little what row profile the switch is on, what keycap it's for on the inside. They have those in exactly the same stamped positions as the Taobao ones as well. So as far as I can tell, they are the same as the ones available on Tao. However, they offer more colours and will offer more compatibility going forward too. So they offer the matcha green, they offer a yellow, which I think is called custard, there's a strawberry pink, there's a light blue, which I think is Ramune or Ramoon or
Ramune.
Ramune, yeah, pronunciation apologies. And then they offer a lavender and a lime colour as well. So there's all sorts of different colours available, which aren't available on the Taobao site. So there is a huge range of colours that these guys have got here. And I believe from speaking with them that they're actually working with the manufacturer rather than working with the Taobao stores that sell them. So their plan is to offer these new colorways that we haven't seen before, also to rebuild and get us 7 new bottom rows and ISO support and a number of different other things, and start to run this as an actual group buy. Now, I was really happy with these keycaps. I think the color's really nice. The green color's great. As I show you guys again, the green color's really nice. Slightly translucent, as you can see from my streamlights on the top row. But yeah, they sound good as well. You know, they sound like POM keycaps should do. So I was really happy with them, really impressed. And I actually preferred the green ones to my rainbow coloured ones from Tao, which are identical in terms of caps and coverage and all of that kind of stuff. But I do prefer the green because it's my favourite colour. But yeah.
Sure, yeah. So they have a kit breakdown here. Is this the kit that you received then? This basically standard kind of 104 with a couple extra keys?
Yeah, so I got that, plus I got like an extra modifier pack as well, which had some additional keys in, and they also sent me some samples of the other colours as well. So I got a sample pack with kind of like the so I had the green, and then we've got the plum colour, the strawberry colour there, the other pinkish one, and then the custard, which is kind of like a yellow colour, which is really nice. That's actually a really nice colour.
Yeah, I was about to say the custard in POM probably works out pretty well.
It does. It look horrible in ABS, but it looks
exactly,
great in colour. So there you go, and that's the pale blue. It's kind of like a duck egg blue kind of colour. It's really nice.
That's the Ramune.
Ramune, yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, that custard looks really good. It actually works really well. So yeah, there you go.
Very cool. So we can expect better compatibility than what we see here from this particular kit in the future, right?
Yeah, so I don't think it's going to go hugely bigger than this. So what it does offer is there's some additional keys in there as well. So where they've got the 1.5U bottom row, there is no 7U spacebar yet, but they are going to do it. But there is some additional 1U keys for that bottom row as well. So if you're not using wing keyless board, you could have the 7U bottom row, for example. There's also stepped and full caps lock, because I'm using the stepped caps lock. And there's a few other keys in there as well. Now, I haven't counted to see how many I've got. I should really do that and work out what the full compatibility is. But it's not quite as limited as that image would make you believe.
Sure, yeah. So that's good to know. Now, what kind of pricing do we know on this? Do we have any kind of quotes yet? I didn't really see anything in this thread.
So they do have some on their store. I'm just going to load that up in a second. So some of these kits are available on the store at the minute. Where's the link on for that?
I'm trying to find the store as well.
It's right down at the very bottom, Escape Keyboards. So the full POM Jelly kit is actually sold out right now. There was a couple that were in stock the other day. Oh, the rainbow one is still in stock. So it's 105 Australian dollars. Let's see what that works out at. 105 AUD in USD. Works out at $66.28, so $67, which is pretty much what the ones on Taobao cost, broadly speaking. So yeah.
Okay, that's about right then. I mean, you don't really get very much compatibility with these kits that are in stock now, but it's not a terribly high price either, so yeah. Would definitely love to see some increased compatibility, though.
Oh, Huey's in chat. I'd be interested if Huey, I believe you got a set as well. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on them, dude, as well. I haven't seen your latest This Week in Keyboards. I don't know if you addressed it there, but I'd be interested in your thoughts on whether you've tried these out yet.
Yeah, nice. It looks like you can get a 60% version too, so an even more cut down base kit if you only have a standard 60% layout, and that's going to cost you about $20 cheaper, I guess, 20 or $30
Yeah.
cheaper.
Yeah, which is quite good. If you only want a 60% set and you don't want to buy the whole set, there's nothing wrong with that at all. The other really interesting thing that they've done in the interest check as well is they've actually done a bit of a torture test right down at the bottom on how...
I was about to say, this interest check is insane. It's so good. Like, they've addressed almost everything you could possibly want in this interest check.
Yeah,
including that torture test. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, so they tortured some of the tests, and basically what it showed is that POM holds up to a lot more resistance than what any other keycap plastic does. So ABS and PBT are positively easily destroyed with hydrogen peroxide and ethyl acetylate and all of those other kind of chemicals, and POM was just fine. It's just fine. So it feels nice to type on. It's soft, it's smooth, it's comfortable, it sounds good. Nothing not to like here. I don't think these will ever replace... Sorry, go on.
And along with the torture test, they did a chemical resistance test where the POM also fared better than ABS and PBT. This was... I'm going to be honest, it's a little unnecessary. I think the majority of us kind of understand already and know that POM is just a better, more durable plastic than ABS and PBT. But I like that he went the extra mile to do the sandpaper torture test as well as the chemical resistance test. That shows he really cares about this.
Yeah. Do you know what would be really, really nice though? If we could have double shot POM keycaps, that would be the killer. I think we're probably a long way away from that, but I do think that's the one reason why these will never replace the likes of GMK and things like that, because they'll do well and they'll sell because they're pretty to look at and they're relatively inexpensive and they're fine. But you know, people are going to want legends as well, and blank keycaps aren't for everyone. I tend to struggle with them, even though I don't look at the keyboard when I'm typing. Usually, I do tend to struggle with them because it's just a mental thing. But yeah, I was really happy with how these turned out, and I thought they looked quite good on my Type X.
Yeah,
that worked quite well.
Absolutely. All right, so we'll have to wait to see more on this. Hopefully, we get a little bit more compatibility as well, because I would love to pick up a set of the Ramune for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. They also came in really nice packaging as well. Let me show you this, Brian. They came in like a little coffee-style bag, which was quite nice. Yeah, it was really good.
Do they ship in a box though?
No. So it came in this bag, and this bag was wrapped up in. It was kind of like wrapped up in bubble wrap, which is why it's all creased and crinkled. And then that was inside a polyethyl bag as well. So it was in like one of those DHL kind of tough bags that are waterproof and everything else, but it wasn't in a box.
I'm always worried about keycaps that don't ship in boxes. Always scares me a little bit.
Well, POM won't scratch on POM. That's the thing.
That's true as well. But yeah, I'm always afraid of like if a box gets stepped on, like it might not be a big deal, but like if a bag of keycaps gets stepped on, it might be a bigger deal or run over or something. You know. I don't know. Maybe. If it got run over, I think it'd be destroyed either way. That's true. That was a bad example.
Two tons of vehicle on top of it. That's probably going to damage whatever's in the box, Brian. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, let's move on to the last topic on our news doc for today, and this is a group buy that's actually closed already, but I wanted to add it to the doc because I wanted to talk a little bit about not necessarily this product, but what it offers. So this is the Pikatea macropad. I'm assuming is how it is pronounced. And as you can see, I'm actually gonna find a better image here. Sorry. All right, here we go. We have an imager link here. So as you can see, it's basically a macropad that mounts to a surface, and And for a second, I was like, well, that's not that cool. It's just a macropad. And then I thought about it more, and how we don't really have mountable boards or macropads in our community. And then it kind of dawned on me that this is actually a really cool idea. And apparently the rest of Reddit agrees, because this is actually the top post on RMK this week. So obviously a lot of people really enjoying this, but effectively it's just a macro pad that you can mount wherever. So like here he has it on his desk. Here's a picture of where he has it on a monitor. Here's another picture where he has it on his monitor, and I thought that was kind of cute and kind of fun. He's got it on his tower right here on his PC. Like it's a really neat product. It really is.
It's a good idea. I mean, so underneath the edge of my desk here, I have a USB pack just so I can plug USB cables in. So it's recessed. So if this is the edge of my desk, it's recessed maybe 3 inches back, and it's great for plugging stuff in and out. But to have like a little macro pad there that I could just do little bits of functionality with, like a wake up the PC and a shut down the PC button, and maybe a volume knob for the audio and stuff like that, I think it'd be really, really good, really clever. It's a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I think a lot of people like us, a lot of keyboard enthusiasts and, PC enthusiasts, people like us, we like to have really clean aesthetic battle stations and, like clean desks and stuff like that. And we're always trying to find ways to save space and hide wires and stuff like that. And to me, this is a really good solution for, a step towards that. Is, you just have a macro pad on your desk. The wires are all under it. You don't see any of them. It's really convenient, and it's aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I'm really sad that I missed this because I would love to buy one.
So
he absolutely love to have one.
He does say that while this round is closed, he is going to be potentially doing more in the future, but obviously just being one person, he can only do so much with his time.
Yeah.
Do
you know what would be really nice?
I tried to find the price, but I couldn't find a price anywhere in this. So I have no idea how much this actually costed. So if someone in chat got one or knows the price, please let me know, because I'm kind of curious to see what a kit of this went for. But some of the interesting specs here. So he actually has this hooked up to an SD card, and there's a config file on there. And how you program this is you edit the config file. And so similar to QMK, you can have different features for like long presses and short presses and stuff like that. But apparently really easy configuration. You can put QMK on it if you want. You will, of course, have to flash it on there yourself, but it is an option if you are a QMK kind of guy. So I thought that was kind of cool as well. So really easy programmability, if you're someone that likes just taking that SD card route. Kind of interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is a really clever idea. And the other thing as well is this looks like it's a 3D printed version, but how cool would it be to do it in like a bent copper or something like that? If you had a plate of bent copper that was bent and laser cut, that could be really, really, really attractive. It doesn't have to be something that, doesn't fit into your minimalist setup. You could have a really, really customized version of this that absolutely fit with any decor. You could do anodized aluminium, you could do stainless steel, you could have some brass that had been patinated, or copper that had been patinated, or you could have really shiny bits of brass and copper as well, or sandblasted.
Yeah,
you could do a ton of different things with this and it'd look great.
The idea behind this, I think, is just quite swell. I'm curious to know chat's thought on this too. Like, how do you guys feel about this? Is this something that would totally interest you? Is this something that's going to clean up your desk, clean up your battle station? Is this a good aesthetic, or is this just totally pointless, guys? What do you think? I'm always curious to hear chat's thoughts.
Just while we're waiting for chat's thoughts to come back, Heat Loss, thank you very much for the 9-month streak, which is 13 months of subs. Thank you very much, dude. Really appreciate that. Yeah.
Very, very nice. It's okay. You could be late to the party. It's still a party.
Talisman suggesting that I'll need a pen rail on it. A little pen clip, that would be good. Yeah, a little pen clip would be cool. I didn't do it in mail call, but while we're just waiting for the people's thoughts to come in, I did have another pen mail day this week, so I got loads of special. I found someone selling special editions of the pen that I'd like to collect, so I bought loads of them. These aren't empty boxes; these all do have pens in them, for example. So there you go. But yeah. So pen clip, absolutely.
Adam says, really cool. If it looked a bit better, I would definitely jumped on. Yeah, so
that's why I think we get some polished metal plates in there. I think it looked great.
Exactly. I think the product itself is cool, but what the idea behind it, I think, is really what I like. I love the concept. Bearded Nut Inc. says, kind of like the concept, but not sure it is for me. Okay. Melodit says, dope. Talisman says, oy vey. Cool, but requires a bit of polishing, says Dom Di Dom. All right. So, people generally liking it. Heat Loss seems to like it as well.
Kaz saying, imagine moving your hand that far from the home, bro. Unthinkable. Well,
fair
depends
point.
on what you're doing, right?
It's a fair point as well. But, I mean, where do you put it? I mean, obviously here he has it pictured on the desk in this shot, but, I mean, imagine it on your monitor, or on your PC, or maybe I have speakers right next to my my monitors. Maybe I stick it on top of that, or, by my mic boom arm or something. The idea is just that you're able to put macro pads, or potentially other things, just anywhere in your battle station, and that's a cool idea.
Yeah.
Really, really enjoy that. Mr. Petrov
Yeah.
says, I dig it a lot. Good for a hidden panic button in a store, says Mountain Blocks. All right. All right. Fantastic. All right. So, yeah, I mean, it looks pretty cool. I'm hoping for another round because I'd like to pick one of these up. And like you mentioned, with maybe doing like a brass version or a copper version or even an aluminum version.
Yeah,
I think you could get a pretty premium version here. Someone in chat said it was about $50 for this version, right. which is pretty reasonable. Let's be honest here. So I'm not sure what that entirely entailed. I don't know if that actually came with the rotary encoder, all the PCBs, all the components. I don't know if that's fully assembled PCB or if you have to solder on yourself. A lot of things kind of unknown here with this thread because it's actually closed on the thread. There's no more info here in the group by page, as you can see. So don't really have access to that, unfortunately. But yes, I'd love to see more of this kind of idea. I like where this is going. I think it can probably be done better, if I'm being honest. But I love the idea here. The concept, really, really cool.
Absolutely, yeah. Thoroughly enjoy it as an idea and the concept. Yeah, it's great.
Heck yes. All right, guys. That's going to end our news doc for today. So we're going to talk about our sponsors for just a moment, and then we're going to roll into a Q&A to round out the show like we always do. So if you have questions for us, that's going to be the time to get them in right now. Use the @TopClack tag so we can see them a lot easier, if you please. And starting us off today on our sponsors list today is the one, the only Novel Keys. You know them, you love them. They have pretty much anything you can possibly want, whether you're looking for switches or springs, lubricants, desk mats, wrist rest. They got it all, and of course they have lots of key sets as well. Group buy for GMK Tarot Round 2, still open right now, going strong. Very lovely key set. Very, very, very well-priced base kit as well. Love seeing that. If you're more of a Star Wars fan, and maybe you're somewhat of a collector, you might consider Star Wars GMK Boba Fett. It's officially licensed, thus it is a little bit more expensive, but hey, if you're a collector, this could be something for you. And, of course, whether you're buying anything from Novel Keys, if you're buying something in stock, make sure you use the promo code CLICKCLACK. That'll get you 5% off your entire order. Save you a few bucks there, and everyone loves saving a few bucks, don't they, Jay?
Absolutely, yeah. And speaking of saving a few bucks, you could also take a look at Kono.store, one of our other sponsors for today. If I remember to paste the link into chat, that would help. But today is the last day that you can join GMK Spirit. So if you are interested in joining that set, please make sure you do so post haste. As well as that, they've also got a whole range of desk mats available, not just for for GMK Spirit. I was going to call it Strong Spirit, which is the SA set then. But they've also got them for all of the other kind of sets that they've done recently as well. Everything from Yugo to Ursa to Fuyu to High Voltage desk mat even as well. Some really nice ones for copper and a couple that I haven't seen before for GMK Hero, one of which I really do like, which is kind of like a muted kind of Zelda themed one with all of the icons kind of grayed out on a black background. So yeah, do check those out as well. Failing that, if there's any sets that Kono have run in the recent past that you haven't jumped on, that you may regret not jumping on, such as GMK Hero or Copper or even Cat Oasis, then feel free to use their pre-order form. This will help you jump onto their extras train and make sure that you can still get hold of those sets when the group buy ships. Finally, as well, don't forget that they also have the Hex Gears Gemini X1 and Venture in stock as well, which are the super low profile wireless mechs too. These are really, really great starter option for getting people involved in the hobby, depending on what layout and size and budget you have. So please do go check those out. There's a ton of different options, really configurable and really, really, really well priced as well. So a great entryway into the hobby for many, many people. And they come with these really nice hard cases as well that Brian was just showing.
I totally forgot they came with that. But these cases are super nice.
Really nice, aren't they? Yeah. For the price, I think all-in-one keyboard kit, yeah, can't beat them. So yeah, do go check those out.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up, we have the lovely KBDfans, who has a few things going on right now. Let me navigate. Come on. They are putting out a little bit more information for their Bella, which is the 75% that we checked out a while back. There is now a waitlist and a confirmed price. So $299, pretty inexpensive 75% kit, all things considered. 612 people already on the waitlist. That's like 100 more than I looked earlier, too. It's crazy.
Wow.
This is going up pretty quick. Yeah. So if you want in on the waitlist there, make sure you join in on that. It's a pretty nice looking keyboard with some pretty cool features. We checked it out just a couple days or a couple weeks ago, I guess, on the show. And they have other things on the list as well. They still have those Enjoy PBT double shot ABS sets that I actually ordered one of these. So I have one on the way soon, so I'll actually be able to tell people how we feel about these. So don't know how these are yet, but they are very inexpensive, and the kits are pretty darn compatible for the price. So love seeing that. You can pick that up, $69, pretty inexpensive. Of course, they have lots of other parts, whether you're looking for, macro pads or switches or other key sets or cases or keyboard kits. It's pretty much a one-stop shop. And of course, they have the B-stock market as well, which doesn't always have things in it, but every now and then you find a real hidden gem in here, and you can jump on something pretty quick and get a ridiculous deal. Doesn't look like there's anything going on in here right now, but you gotta check every now and then, because sometimes there's some pretty wild deals in here, if I do say so myself.
Absolutely, you can get some real bargains in there at times, so it's definitely worth keeping your eye on. And speaking of things that's worth keeping your eye on, the Key.Company, our final sponsor for today, they have Infinikey LED Zep. So if you liked LED Zep, the GMK version, the Infinikey version is now open until March 20th from as little as $89. You can get that whole big base kit for $89. And then, of course, there is the Mega add-on kit as well. So do go check that out if you like Led Zeppelin, you kind of like that theme, you like the GMK set and you missed out on it, definitely go check that out. As well as that, GMK Lunar is also now in Group Buy. So this is the set we talked about earlier on today. Definitely check this out if you would like things all to do with space. There's a lot of grey sets available at the minute in Group Buy: Ashes, Apollo, and Lunar. Two of them are space themed. I think this one probably pips the post for me, just because of those sheer volume of text novelties and the thought that's gone into the set in the background, and its Disky origins. So definitely go and check that out if you are interested in that. As well as that, they also have the Holy Panda apparel extras in stock right now. So if you want a Holy Panda hoodie or t-shirt, or even one of the cropped hoodies, I think that might suit you, Brian, one of those nice little cropped hoodies.
You like that?
Yeah, I'd love that. I would love to see you do the show in one of those cropped hoodies. They are all in stock and shipping immediately as well. So if you buy one of these, they will post it out straight away. So yeah, definitely take a look at those. And if you want a bargain and you want a blank set and you don't want to wait for it, they've got a ton of the Keyreative Cherry Profile ABS keycaps in as well now. These are as low as $24 for a full 104 key set. You can't beat it. There's a ton of different colors. Really good for just kitting out a keyboard and immediately having coverage for whatever you need. Really simple, full of different colors and choices. You can fit any board with these. You can find a color that'll work on any different keyboard. Doesn't matter what it is, you'll find something.
Yeah, the color choice on these are wild. I don't think there's a cheaper way to try out Cherry Profile. If there is, no. I don't know about it. So
yeah, you can even buy a vintage board for that kind of price these days and steal the keycaps from there. This is definitely the cheapest way to do it.
Yeah, it even comes with ISO. Like $24 and it comes with ISO.
Yeah, why not, right?
It's crazy value. Anyways, let's move back to our Q&A, guys. Looks like we had a couple questions rolling in already. But of course, if you guys have any more questions, get those in now before we head off for the night. Ham Time asking, which one? Lunar, Ashes, Apollo?
Do you want to go first on this one?
Oh, man. I think I gotta go with Lunar here. I think it's funny because before the show today, I think I probably would have said either Ashes or Apollo. To me, they're about the same level of good. But just with that lineage and the text mods and the attention to detail and just the way everything is laid out, Lunar really is a stellar set for me.
Yeah, completely agree. Lunar is my pick of the bunch, but as you tried to allude to there, I think, Brian, there isn't a wrong answer with any of those sets. They're all really good sets. The hobby as a whole has really enjoyed grey sets for a long time.
Bring on grey sets.
Yeah, right. Grey is a good colour for keyboards. 8008. Honeywell. You can name sets that have got grey in them all day long. So I don't think there's a wrong answer, Ham Time. Personally, it'd be Lunar for me. Again, it's just for the thought that's gone into it, the novelties and stuff like that. But Apollo and Ashes are both great sets as well. So I genuinely don't think there's a wrong answer there.
Yeah, absolutely. Ray says, I heard you were talking shit. Yeah, I was probably talking shit.
Yeah, he was.
I usually talk shit about you.
About you specifically, Ray, as well. So.
Yeah. Yep. All my build streams are on hold until Ray finishes my switches. Feels bad. It's all in jest though. It's all in good fun.
Yeah, it's like me with Straight Classy. I've been waiting for absolute months and yonks for these switches, and I still don't have my my shirt, the one that you got today, Brian. I
really?
don't have that yet. Yeah. I don't have that yet because he's lubing me some switches that he's had since December 1982, and he's still not lubed them yet for me. So
mine actually came a couple days ago. I just haven't actually opened it yet. I should open it.
Okay.
I should open it right now.
Yeah.
Use my fancy new knife. Open this package while we're doing Q&A.
Nice. Is that Twitch safe to have the big knife on there?
I mean, it's a completely legal knife in my area, so I don't see why not.
Fine.
It's a utility knife, like.
Yeah, sure, right? Okay.
What are you getting at, Jay? What are you trying to?
I don't know. I'm just asking the question.
All right.
Bearded Nut Inc. comes in with a question. He says, botanical or lunar? I really like both, but can't really splurge on both. Man, that is a tough choice. Because that's so different. They're so different.
That is the choice of the month for me, I think, as well. I haven't bought either yet, and I probably can't afford both, so I have to decide which one of those two I want as well. So you and I are in this boat together, friend.
Yeah, it's a tough. I've already bought botanical, and I'm gonna buy lunar. Yeah, I'd say flip a coin because there's no wrong answer again there. It's difficult to say, so I would flip a coin and pick one or the other. Yeah, that way. Oh, look at Brian showing off this Team Tactile hoodie. Jumper there, no sweatshirt, whatever it is. Yeah, I don't have mine yet. All right, okay.
That's nice. I like that. This is a really hefty shirt too. It's like really sturdy. Which is kind of like which is a weird way to describe a shirt now that I'm thinking about it. But interesting. Got the long sleeve on there as well. If it wasn't against TOS, I would take off my shirt and put this one on.
You could do it off camera and do it really quickly.
No, I'm not gonna stand up to move off camera just to do that. Or am I? Should I do that? I'll let chat decide whether I put that shirt on or not.
Should Brian change his top or not? Vote now, chat. F's in chat for yes, he should do it.
Heat Loss asking anime tonight? Yes, potentially.
Cool.
Dom asking, what don't you like about each other? Be honest. By the way, love you both. Wow! We've never gotten this question before,
That's
Jay.
a great question. So I can answer one straight off the back. I don't like when Brian doesn't tell me about timing changes for Top Class time. That's really, really frustrating.
Technically, Top Clack's time never changed. It was always 6 p.m. Pacific time.
Your clock's changed. You entered daylight saving time or exit it or whatever it was, and you didn't tell me that the timing had changed.
6 p.m. Pacific time. It's always been 6 p.m. Pacific time. That's my defense.
Very little notice to people who don't necessarily follow US protocols. I'm afraid.
Yes. Like we mentioned at the beginning of the show, yes, I made a mistake, and we were a little late today because Jay thought he had an hour that he didn't actually have, and I completely forgot to tell him daylight savings time happened in the US, and obviously in the UK they observe it at a different time. So, for a few weeks we're a little disjointed, I guess you could say.
Yeah, absolutely. There's plenty of F's in chat as well, by the way, so you need to change that top.
Is the F the
yeah, I said for people to put F's in chat if you should change it. So,
all right, hold on. I'll be right back. I need to sidestep so I don't break T legs here. Please continue.
Yeah, so that's the only thing. Brian and I get on really, really well, to be honest. I mean, it was interesting because we didn't meet each other in real life until I nipped over to Seattle. But as soon as I did, we've been friends for years, and we just got on, and it was absolutely fine. I suspect Brian gets frustrated with me when I don't always participate in doing the news doc because like today, I try and have a nap before the show, which is usually the time he does the news doc. Usually I'll DM him some links to stories that I want to cover. This week I did none of that, so I suspect that frustrates him from time to time. But yeah, we get on really, really well, Brian and I. So other than that, I think it's all right.
Well, what were you talking about? What kind of shit were you saying about me?
I was saying no shit about you. I was saying what you were probably frustrated with me about, because I sometimes I'll DM you kind of topics for the news story, and then like weeks like this week I sent you nothing, and then I was late technically by an hour, so you had to do all of the prep, and I did no prep. So I suspect that frustrates you sometimes.
No, honestly, no. I mean, I swear this isn't a cop-out. I swear it's not a cop-out. But there's really nothing about you, Jay, that I just dislike. Like, you like, every time I ask you to do something, you always do it, and you're very kind about it, and you've always been super friendly with me, and you've always helped me whenever I needed to, or whenever I needed help, so I have, like, nothing negative to say. You're kind of short.
Oh, wow. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. I see.
There you go. I don't like how...
Something completely out of my control.
I don't like that when you and I stand next to each other in person, I'm so much taller than you. That's what I dislike.
Well, right, okay. I think that's fair, but I think the problem there is that you're too tall, not that I'm too short.
Yeah, and no, you know what? That's a problem I have with myself. I wish I were shorter. I really do. I do not like being as tall as I am. I dislike way more things about myself than I dislike about Jay. Trust me.
Same for me about you, dude. I could pick fault with myself way more than I could pick fault with you. How tall am I? I'm 5'6". Brian's like 6'9" or something.
I'm not 6'9". I'm 6'4", which is I think like 193 centimeters for you non-US people. How tall are you, Jay? You're 5'6".
5'6". Yeah. So it's like a foot difference between the two of us, which is about right.
It's pretty big, yeah. I didn't really think about it until Jay obviously came over to Washington last July for the Seattle meetup. And and it's just like walking up to him was like the weirdest interaction for me, because I was expecting you to be like a lot taller than you.
Well, it was really weird because when you picked me up from the airport, and you were in the car, so I didn't really get a grasp of how much the size difference was until we got back to your place. Because if I remember rightly, it was when we got on the ferry. That was when I realised it was like the Hulk getting out of the car, and I was like, Jesus Christ, this guy's big. Yeah, and do you know what the best part about that is when we did the episode of Top Clack from the Airbnb that week. I think we did it a little bit late, but I think we did it on the Friday instead of the Thursday. But we're both sat on a couch next to each other, and the size difference is so apparent between us.
It's insane. Yeah,
let me see if I can find that.
Yeah, you guys should go to the YouTube channel and look for the VOD. I'm gonna find that link for the episode. It was in the end of July 2019.
Yeah, I've just found it now. I'm gonna share the
Jay and I together on a couch is the most hilarious thing ever, because I'm basically 2 Jays. I'm quite literally twice his size.
Yeah, so I've posted the link to that chat. Oh wow, I didn't realize we had all the new starting screens there. But yeah, you're sat next to me. You're wearing the actual same t-shirt as you were wearing earlier on. You're wearing your adult shirt in that VOD.
That's a good shirt.
And yeah. But yeah, you're literally twice the size of me in that. It's so funny. Oh dear.
QBU says, hasn't that been true for all of your previous co-hosts? I think Huey's a bit taller. Huey's got a good build to him. I think he's a little taller. I don't actually remember how tall he is. I'm pretty sure he's taller than Jay.
It's not hard though, to be fair.
Yeah, that's not terribly hard. Bektor, I've never actually met in person, but I think Bektor is a little shorter as well. I think he's kind of a shorter, rounder gentleman.
Fair enough. Here you go, guys. I posted it on Discord as well, but there's a picture of Brian and I sat next to each other in back in our Airbnb.
Yeah, it's quite a difference. Quite a difference.
I've just looked at the picture that Pedro posted. Oh my god,
that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Oh man. Oh man, that was such a weird episode. It took us so long to set up for that. Like, everything went wrong.
Yeah, I might have to watch that episode back, to be honest. Yeah.
Oh, it's terrible. It's really bad.
Is it? I don't think it's that bad. It can't be that bad.
All right, it's not that bad, but it's a little cringe at times.
I feel like we both had a couple of drinks at this point as well. I feel like we. Yeah.
I don't even remember.
I'm sure we both had a couple of drinks. I can't even remember what boards we covered on that show.
The only thing I remember that we covered was it was the LZ like macro pad that had the PS4 knob on it.
Yeah, I do recall that now. Yeah.
I remember that.
Did that ever go anywhere?
I don't know, but I was really interested in that.
Yeah.
Lots of sexual tension. Yeah, there's always sexual tension with Jay and myself. That's kind of just absolutely how this goes.
Why wouldn't there be?
We never got to do the Mod House build stream. Yeah, it's because like, oh man, that's because
we concentrated on drinking instead. That's why.
Yeah. Well, that and we couldn't get my camera to work, which later I did find out was because of my capture card, oddly enough, which is why I had to replace that. But yeah, we couldn't have the equipment work perfectly, which was very unfortunate.
Yeah, and then the other nights, our Airbnb just seemed to turn into Party Central and just people from all over.
Yeah, there was just too many people to stream. It was too loud.
Yeah,
too many people.
Like Christmas Kane was there. Chris, Tennis Shoe Ninja turned up.
Tennis Shoe Ninja.
Dixie was there.
And his wife. I am me. You are you. And his girlfriend. His wife,
yeah.
We already had like 8 or 9 people in the Airbnb to begin with. We had Star. We had Ray. You and I. 159 Sushi and his girlfriend. It was a packed house, man. It was a good time.
Yeah, yeah.
Heat Loss even showed up one night.
Really?
We had Geo there. Yeah.
I don't remember Heat Loss being there.
You were probably fairly drunk by the time he got there.
Maybe. Or maybe I was just not putting the name and the face together in my head. Maybe that's what
that. Yeah, probably that as well.
Was Geo there as well? I'm just kidding. I know Geo was there.
Heat Loss is the reason for You Need a Burger. Yeah, which was funny because Heat Loss suggested a place that he said was way better, but we wound up at You Need a Burger anyways, and all of us loved it.
Yeah, it was really good.
It was really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think we're kind of just rambling at this point. There's no more questions though. Like there's like no Q&A today.
We got Jay to America. It was worth it. It was a really, really good trip. I was just really sad when I had to go home. And the really sad thing is I was hoping to come out again this year for Seattle Meetup, but given the way that things are with travel right now, I'm not sure if that's even going to be possible. So everything's kind of on hold at the minute.
Yeah, I was considering going to KeyCon, and now I don't really know.
Excuse me. Yeah, I was looking at KeyCon as well. I was even pricing up. I was talking to Petrov the other day and was looking at potentially flying out for it, and it just can't. Well, there's no point in trying to book anything right now until we know what's happening. So
yeah.
But if I don't get out to the US this year, I will definitely make it out next year, and we'll get you over to one of the EU.
I really want to come out to the EU. Point. I really do.
We'll get you out to London next year, I suspect. Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. Okay. Let's plan on that.
Yeah.
But
Ryan Tix missed the whole stream because I was building the IDB60. Took way too long. So Ryan actually got the very, very last one. So Brian and Ryan got the last 2 IDB60s that were available.
Very nice.
Yeah. Nice. I'm glad you got the build done, Ryan.
Yes, I'm excited to do mine. I have to either buy a Dremel, I guess, or go to my local friend's house. She has a Dremel, and I just need to touch up the PCB so it fits in the case, and I want to build that up. I was thinking about actually going tactile on it.
Oh, interesting.
Which is interesting now that I'm wearing the Team Tactile shirt. So I'm gonna go ahead and shout out to Straight Classy Ready once more for this Team Tactile shirt. But yeah. So has anyone done that yet? I feel like everyone goes linear in the IDB60.
There must be someone who's built it with tactiles out there. Yeah, I still haven't actually built my my unit from the group buy. Well, so because the group buy had some problems, I ended up giving my actual group buy board away, so the actual parts to some people that weren't happy with the parts I received, because it was pretty much all B stock that was sent out anyway. But I do have the steel version, which is chrome steel, that I will build, and I do have one of the original prototypes as well, which need to rebuild. So I will be building mine at some point soon. Maybe I should do tactiles one of those if you enjoy it, Brian. I'll let you try that first and tell me whether it's any good or not. And if it is,
I mean, what's the worst case scenario? I desolder and put linears in anyways. But I kind of like the idea of a tactile build. I've never really used a tactile build that had a bunch of flex, but obviously trying your IDB60 when you came over to Seattle, prototype 1.2 mil PCB, a little bit different than the 1.6 from the production run, but I'd like to see like a decent level of flex on a tactile build, and if that's going to be something that I actually favor or not, because I kind of get the feeling it's going to either be really good or really bad.
Yeah, well, I'll be really interested to see how you feel about that. The other thing as well is I'm probably going to buy, see if I can talk to Pingu and get maybe a really, really small run of the 1.2mm PCBs done again, because the one in my prototype has stopped working, and I think it's just where the USB port's kept. The flex has just eventually broken the USB connection. So if I do that, I will send one your way, Brian.
Awesome. I would absolutely love to grab one of those. Maybe even a couple, honestly, depending on the price. So, Wilson is asking if Fiel R4 was unlimited. It looks like R5 is going to be unlimited with limited time. I don't think Actually, I don't remember. Was R4 limited?
I can't remember. I think, again, it was just unlimited with a time period. Like, you buy between this date and this date, and that's it. So, I don't know. Reach out to Leandro and ask him.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll tell you. Yeah,
absolutely.
He's actually just booked his travel as well to the UK meetup at the end of this month, and nice. Now he might not be able to come, which is really sad.
He's a super awesome person to hang out with. I was lucky enough to hang out with him once.
Yeah, well, I think he visited Seattle like a week after I left, and I was really sad about that. Because I was looking forward to catching up with him as well at some point. So I'm hoping we do get to meet at the London meetup. But he shipped me a load of stuff to take to the meetup for him, so he didn't have to bring it on his hand luggage on the plane. So I've got all that now, which I can still take to the meetup if it happens. But if he can't be there, it'll put a bit of a dampener on it, I'm afraid. But we'll see how it goes. We would rather people stay safe in this current climate than travel where they don't need to be just because they want to be somewhere. It's better to stay safe. Frame of mind.
It's unfortunate, but it's kind of just the way it is. But yeah, I mean, Fiel's not exactly hard to get a hold of these days. With so many rounds rolling out, it doesn't really sell for an increased price on the aftermarket these days either. So, not terribly hard to get your hands on one if you're looking for one.
Yeah. Is this still a 2-hour episode? We're like 2 hours and 5 minutes from when we actually started the show. So
yeah, we're technically at 2:17 now. There was kind of a pre-show, but we're within that comfortable range still. But we are about to head off. Just a couple last-minute questions here. Tal's been asking, 24-hour stream finally in 2024.
Sure.
Yeah, fine. I don't want to make any promises, so I'm not going to make any promises. But it is still something we are working towards. There's just a lot of other things to get done as well.
Yeah, we will get there eventually, guys. We will get there eventually.
But he does follow up. Says next Quakeham's Garage build stream. Those of which will be coming very soon because I have numerous things to build now. I still have my Southpaw to build. I got the IDB60 now. I got the Mechanist Type X. I have 2 commission builds that are still on the way. And then I think I have one more as well. So I definitely have stuff to build. It's just waiting on the last of the parts to arrive. So that's where I'm at right now still. But nice. You guys will know. You guys will know. I'll always announce it on the show and in the Discord when I have a stream coming up.
Yep, I'll be building something on Sunday, but I haven't decided exactly what yet. I've got a bit of a pile of boards to build. But yeah, I haven't decided which one I'm going to build yet. But there will be a build stream on Sunday from me.
Yep. All right, so we'll finish up with just a couple last questions again before we head off here. Ham Time asking, what sets are we looking forward to in the near future, like Insta-Buy? In the future, okay, so not
I try not to decide until they go into group buy, and then I compare it up against whatever else is in group buy that month and pick on that basis. I don't know. I'd have to have a look at the Keycap calendar and see what's coming up.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. I don't.
Go on, read a few out for April then, and I'll pick one.
A few out for April. Okay, so in April we have GMK Noel, Cat Space Cadet, Nautilus 2, DCS Red Alert, GMK Bushido, GMK Black Lotus, Infinity Pastel, and Cat White on Black. So I don't know. I might pick up Noel. I don't know if any of these are insta buys for me per se. I'll probably buy Noel. I'll probably buy Red Alert, and that's probably just going to be April for me. I probably won't get anything else.
Black Lotus as well. I've been waiting for that set for so long for Black Lotus. I'll probably pick that up as well.
Yeah, 2016 was the interest check for that, so it's been quite a while.
Yeah, I've been waiting a long time for it, so I'm glad to see it's finally running. So yeah, I would definitely pick up Black Lotus. Yeah, so DCS Red Alert is a big one for me as well.
Yeah, gotta support Socialite on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad to see that running too.
Yeah, so
and Noel looked fantastic in all the J2 renders that Aguila created. So yeah, I'm probably going to pick that up as well. I'll be honest.
I think Noel's probably going to be a sleeper set. I think a lot of people are going to sleep on it, and then it's going to do pretty well.
Noel will be the Shoko of 2020.
That's kind of what I was thinking as well. Shout out to Bearded Nut Inc. for donating 200 bits there. Thank you so much, man.
That username, I love it.
I'll never get sick of it. So yeah, that's April. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else in the future that I would consider a must buy for myself. At least maybe GMK Boneyard in June, maybe.
Oh yeah, there's that as well. Yeah,
I'll probably get that. I don't know, but yeah, I'm pretty picky with GMK sets and key sets in general, mostly. If I'm being honest, I don't buy very many of them anymore. I have to be pretty set to actually jump on it. So I don't know. For me, a must buy is a pretty serious thing.
Sure,
for a key set at least. Dom asking, could you show off your keybs finally? A mini review each episode, please. We want to see your collections.
Yes, that's some of them that behind me.
Maybe we can do like a not on this show, but like maybe like either another stream or like a short video series where we kind of go through and show off our keyboards and talk about each one of them.
Yeah, maybe we could do like maybe a 10-minute weekly episode where we get together and show off one board each or something like that. We could do that.
That could be kind of cool. Yeah, we should brainstorm on something like that. That could be pretty fun. Like nothing too insane, but like we do get people asking to show off our collections and stuff, so it would be nice to finally do that, because normally we just don't, because we have so many boards that like we can't just sit here and show you boards for like 4 hours. Like that's, I mean, we could, but I think most people would probably lose interest there. So
yeah, we could. Yeah, we can definitely come up with something like that. Yeah, it's a good idea, Dom. I think it'll all depend on how we can execute it and finding the time to do it as well. So we'll come up with something. But yeah, absolutely, we can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, and with that, I think it's now a good time to take off, since we're just over our kind of soft time limit here. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the show as much as we did doing it for you guys. If you like this kind of content, maybe follow. Maybe check below the stream. Join our Discord, official Discord. There's something there for everyone, whether you want to talk about keyboards or, space missions or, your pets. You just want to show pictures of your cats. There's something for everyone there. So make sure to join that, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Link below, you can catch all the VODs there. They go up about 24 hours after the Twitch streams happen because of Twitch's terms of service. So look forward to that if you're a VOD watcher. And hopefully you have a great rest of your day, morning, night, wherever you are. Any closing thoughts, Jay?
Come check out the stream on Sunday where I'll be building something. I haven't decided what yet, but I will be building a keyboard on Sunday as per the usual streams. But other than that, looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with in chat in the Discord channels over the next week or so.
Absolutely. All right. We love you guys. Have a great rest of your day.